And welcome to Encounter Roleplay. It is Tentacle Tuesday. It is the penultimate Tentacle Tuesday of the season. Things are spicy up in here. I was just telling chat that when we hit 20 retweets for the next 2 weeks, we are doing Wild Magic Surges, which are possibly my favorite thing ever. Speaking of favorite things ever, Millie, how are you doing this week?
Oh, I like that one. You need to raise your
It's because when she can make up her own ones, they always start out super beautiful. You can actually like Venn diagram your way to like garbage as you move through the people.
Justify it all you want, mate. You're still gonna get shit.
Yeah.
But I'm good. I'm good. It's been an interesting week and lots of progress has been made, and I've spent far too much time apparently adopting plants that I don't need and don't have space for. Apparently this is my new sickness. So that's my sanity.
Is this the effect of Baby Yoda wanting us to adopt green things? Is this
I have
what
not
this is?
seen Baby Yoda yet. Like, that's how busy I am.
I don't know what you mean when you say that. Is that a thing?
I've seen pictures of it on Twitter and I don't want to see anymore because it's spoiling me.
Okay, I have never wanted a child in my life. I have no interest in human children. Baby Yoda, that's what I want to give birth to if I ever give birth, alright? That thing is the cutest creature.
You want to give birth to a thing that looks like a Baby Yoda?
Can you imagine that scene in the hospital? Like, not it's a boy or a girl, just like
Wouldn't that be sort of green and kind of wrinkly and look like a kid?
It's a Yoda! I'd be so happy! Alright, so my strange preferences for childbirth aside, Gareth, how are you doing today?
Speaking of strange,
what the hell? Where was that segue? That was fucking brilliant.
that was good. I'm feeling good. Poor Hank is at a bad point in his life, but I'm at a good point. I'm enjoying the company of these guys, even if their choice of flags are all wrong. Hashtag Team Mozambique.
Sorry, anybody who's from Mozambique, your flag's worse than the Welsh one. Like, deal with it. You already know, right? Like, you know that. You've seen your own flag.
Always in a league of her own, Lindy.
That's right, Welsh flag for life. Yeah. So I'm doing spiffy. We've decided via popular majority vote what's the coolest fucking flag ever, and y'all can just accept it or move on. But yeah, I'm Lindy and I'll be playing Elsie Clark, who has somehow the most sanity of the group. Currently, I don't think that'll probably be the case after today's episode, though, but I'm very excited to see how this trial goes.
Maybe the most sanity, but I think the strangest taste in art, right? Like,
oh yeah, that is her
Maybe
insanity-specific niche. She loves art. She's obsessed with it to an unhealthy level, and that's probably why she's okay in Carcossa.
Yeah, she's hardened herself to it.
I think.
Speaking of,
she started with anime and headed straight to hentai.
Speaking of heading straight to hentai, Adam, how are you doing?
No, that's fine. I don't care. You can bring your hentai at me. You think with the amount of tentacle emotes I have that I don't get this by day and by fucking night? Hello.
I might say you are
Cthulhu. I'm playing Sebastian Wilkes. I'm probably going to kill Hank this episode. So hang around.
Oh, thank you very much, Old England, for gifting that tier 1 sub. Thank you. Welcome to the Chaos Chorus, friends. I will update those numbers very shortly. And while I do that, Tom, how's your week been? Who are you? What's going on?
I'm Tom, and I'm a Call of Cthulhu holic.
You don't get a segue.
I didn't get a segue, so I have to, like try something. I'm kind of sad that I didn't get a segue, if I'm honest, but.
Just wait to the outro, Tom. Just wait.
Okay, I'll wait for that. Yeah, so I'm all right. In work today, I did fire extinguisher training, so I am now prepared to fight fires.
So you're our sexy fireman, is what you're telling me.
So I was going to say, you're going to be on the next calendar, right?
Yeah, next Encounter Roleplay calendar.
I'm going to be straddling a hose.
On.
So, yeah. So I've got that. So basically, the training comes to if it's on fire, just run away. Basically, that's essentially fire extinguisher training.
Never run in a fire.
The actual person said, seriously, they're pretty heavy. So if you can't get out, just throw the extinguisher through the window and go that way. Just get out of the building. Really.
So you're prepared to fight fires in a garden in Wales?
Yeah. It's a bigger problem.
3 seconds a year when it can catch fire.
Yeah, when it's not raining as well. So apart from that, I'm just looking forward to playing Reggie and just his mind going pop.
Speaking of unpredictable problems, Will Jones joins us today.
Oh, I'm a very predictable problem, I'm afraid. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm excited for today's episode. We say this will be the penultimate episode. If things go badly, it could be the final episode. You never do know with Call of Cthulhu when it gets to this point. It's in the hands of the dice and the hands of the Chaos Chorus, depending on how many nat 20s they want to feel like giving me today. Because now we're at the end. It's time to go all out. And with these sanity scores looking how they're looking, yeah, we're gonna have a good time today. I'm pretty sure.
So before we dive in on the subject of sanity, I'm actually going to open up that poll. Why don't you give us a rundown, Will, of whose sanity is at where while I get that button push?
So this first poll is for who's going to lose a d6 of sanity.
This is losing?
It doesn't matter. We can do it either way. Whichever way you got set up, Charlie, I was trying to guess.
I vote for losing. Here we go.
All right, losing sanity first of all.
I actually like it the other way around quite a lot.
Yeah, but you did. Law has 34 sanity. Pretty dicey there. Reggie is our lowest investigator with a sanity score of 23. Professor Wilkes not far behind on 26. Elsie way out there in the leading the pack somehow. I'm not sure how. But she has been stabbed up a lot, so maybe that makes up for it. 42 sanity for Elsie. Hank right behind Reggie in second place, I guess you could call it, at 24 sanity, and then we have Virginia at 35. So Reggie's lowest and Elsie is highest of everyone else in between. So it's all to play for. Who's gonna lose sanity today? This is when I start busting out the bigger dice. I'm not gonna just be rolling d6s anymore. When it comes to sanity.
Alright, for some reason, Adam has broken Moldark, and I cannot get Wilkes to add to this thing. Right. Sebastian, here we go. Let's try a different name. There we go.
Oh, fuck.
Alright, it started again.
Alright, while this is wearing away, I'm going to hand over the pass, Charlie, to tell us a little bit about our sponsors who make it possible for us to do all of this fun stuff. Before we begin today's show, I would like to take some time to remind you about our sponsors. Fantasy Grounds, our virtual tabletop of choice. All of the beautiful maps and rolls you see tonight are done using Fantasy Grounds, which you can try for free at fantasygrounds.com. You can also get all of your miniatures from Wayland Games. Go to waylandgames.co.uk and get yourself a huge range of D&D, Warhammer and 40k minis for up to 20% off regular retail price. And Tabletop Loot, who sell incredible dice. Go and check them out at tabletoploot.com. So there we go! Please do go and check out Fantasy Grounds, Wayland Games, and Tabletop Loot for all of those wonderful things. Also, go and check out Against the Dark Master. We just finished our 2-shot last night. They've got a Kickstarter. It's the last 48 hours. I'll throw a link in chat. It was a really fun system. Worth checking out. Well, without further ado, I shall hand over to you and remind everyone to go and vote in chat to find out who loses sanity today.
Very good. Well, last episode, the investigators got himself into some trouble, having met Hilda Castaigne and answered the first question as who stands in the light. The investigators now had to partake in the final bizarre act of this festival of fear in Carcossa. They were to be judges in the King of Yellow's court, and the jester had provided a nice little room for them to chill out and relax in. There were to be 2 people on trial, Mr. Archie Virgil and, of course, Mr. Eric Carlisle. The 2 cultists from Glumthorne Isle were both in line to ascend to a very important role here in Carcossa, to who would be the heart of Carcossa. And of course, whoever didn't win, whoever the judges, the investigators didn't pick, was also going to suffer some eternal, horrible sacrifice. The good doctor, our friend Dr. Stoat, showed up, though he wasn't in much of a very good state whatsoever, having already been horribly tortured for hours and days upon end, while the investigators actually didn't really help him out too much once he was seeing to some of Elsie's wounds. In fact, Hank and Law ended up both going in on a little bit of torture on our friend Dr. Stoat, making sure that he told them everything that he'd learned. He learned that Mr. Eric Carlyle knew the answer to this question as to who dares to live in the heart of Carcossa. And so they decided to try and head off Eric Carlyle before the court-held session to try and either extract that secret from him or silence him permanently. Law and Hank went with Dr. Stoat into to find Eric Carlyle, confronted him and his beast, and very narrowly managed to defeat him. It was a very bloody battle in which a lot of nat 20s was spent and a lot of damage was dealt. And they basically just survived on the fact that I was rolling a lot of ones on damage rolls. Else it wouldn't have gone the same way. I think Hank is on 2 HP. I think Law's on maybe 1 HP, 2 HP around the area as well at this point. Yeah. But Hank decided that he was going to stay behind because there had to be 2 people on trial. And with Eric Carlyle dead, well, they needed someone else to do it. So they decided not to put Dr. Stoat up to the stand, although that was an option. Instead, Hank decided to nail his head in and kill him, putting him out of his suffering for good, which is what the doctor wanted after all of this misery. So now Hank has been left behind. He is now standing trial with Archie Virgil opposite him, and the investigators are in the courtroom with hundreds of hanging bodies of all of the other people at Glumthorne Isle who didn't make it, and they are to decide who is going to live in the heart of Carcossa. And a witness has been called to the stand by Professor Wilkes, and that is Elizabeth Patton, who is, of course, Hank's wife, question mark. Who knows if she's really here, if she's alive, we don't know, but she's just walked in to the court, and we're about to hear her testimony, and the judges here get to decide what happens. Either way, it doesn't look like it's going to end well for Hank, but we hear that Adam has a plan, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen today. Who do we have win that vote, Charlie?
We had... Okay, so we got 2 things, 2 pieces of news. Winning the vote, losing the vote, depends on how you look at it. The wonderful Sebastian Wilkes falls insanity. And additionally, we've hit our 20 retweet target, so Wild Magic Surge time will, you can either assign it or you can random roll it for one of the players. If we hit 30 retweets, giving it to Hank. Alright, so Panda, that's a 1d10,000, please. If we hit 30 retweets, we'll do another one, because we love them.
Retweeting.
No, it's fun.
You are super
quiet. So what was that friend? You were super quiet.
No, 1,158.
1158.
I got it up here. Oh man.
Is it? Are you hearing me?
Hey, that's better. That's better. Yeah. So Hank is immune to electrical magic at night while it's snowing. That's quite a specific set of parameters there. But hey,
specific.
If it's ever night and you find it snowing and you get hit with electrical magic, you are fine, my friend. You are fine. Unfortunately, none of those things are happening right now. So.
Well, my lovely, you are sounding very deep, and there are some weird static pops. Carcossa is messing with your sound. I mean, you sound more manly than you have ever sounded.
I'm very manly. This is just how I speak now. I'll fix it.
That's what happens when you move to America. You go
from here.
I feel like, honestly, my voice isn't deep enough. I'll just move to California. It'll be fucking fine.
I'm terrified, but a little bit turned on by that voice. It's weird. We can't hear you now.
Alright, while Will plays with those settings, we are in this courthouse with the hanging bodies. We have filed into the jury box, and Wilkes has asked for the witness, Elizabeth Patton.
Is this better?
Yes.
Much,
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Well,
Much
not
worse.
finally.
I've finally gone through
Yeah, can you
puberty.
beat it down for us?
Yay!
Alrighty, so Hank's immune. Sebastian loses a d6 of sanity, and we'll pick up the scene. Hank,
I feel like
describe
I'd
to us
have so much more fucking sanity, by the way, if this vote thing didn't exist. I think I'd be on about 60, because I feel like most of my sanity loss this campaign has been the kind-hearted fucking viewers voting me down like 30 or 40 points.
That's what's known as repercussions.
Yeah. So, I'll set the scene again for us. We're in a courtroom. It's large, high ceiling, and hanging from that ceiling, 5 points of sanity. Hanging from that ceiling are the hundreds of former citizens of Glumford Isle who have been strung up by the mimes and by the court jester who seems to be leading this trial. Our investigators sit at their their desk, looking on to Hank and Mr. Virgil, who stand in the witness, or the defendant stands, I guess. Coming from the back of the room through a door is Hank's wife, Betty, as he calls her, Elizabeth Patton. Hank, why don't you describe to us what she looks like? Because we haven't ever seen her before. Have you heard about
Betty
her?
is about 5'5". She is tall, medium build, but with short black hair, kind of cut nicely. She has a nice pair of her grandma's pearls around her neck. I'm not sure why I'm going quiet. It's been a
That's
bit
better. Might be a wire.
And she's beautiful. Hank thinks she's beautiful, but it's not like she's dolled up to the nines. She's just a nice looking girl.
Mm-hmm.
I have a query. Does Hank think she's beautiful, or is she beautiful?
Both.
Okay.
So she looks absolutely bewildered, confused, and terrified. You're watching someone for the first time lose sanity in a very real way as she steps into this courtroom and sees the hundreds of hanging bodies. She whimpers, she's crying. You're not sure how long she's been here or been in this state, but you see the two mimes sort of dragging her along, because she herself seems incapable of movement. She's just whimpering and crying, and the mimes either side of her just drag her along. She doesn't seem to be able to resist, perhaps due to her state of mind. She's just staring upwards in fear at the bodies dangling not too far above her head. Hank, how do you react?
Can Hank get to her?
Gone super quiet again, buddy, I'm sorry.
Can Hank get to her? Can I get anywhere near her?
You could, yeah, you could.
Hank's going to just kind of bolt across the courtroom and get to her and kind of push these mimes away from her the best he can. Am I sounding better now, or is it still really quiet?
It's still super quiet. I'm sorry.
Right. If you give me 2 seconds, I'm just going to jump to another mic.
No worries, no worries. The rest of you are still seated watching this happen. And you're watching as Hank sort of begins to rush over towards the mimes who are bringing forth Betty. I think you all know who she is. You certainly heard him speak about Betty before, and she was mentioned last episode as well. How do you guys react to seeing this? The jester seems to be finding this very funny. He's just laughing.
I'll be standing there and without any expression on my face, but sweat will be trickling from my temples nearly constantly. And I'm trying to put across the impression that I don't care about who this is.
Yeah. Elsie, what is Elsie doing?
He has a slight morbid fascination. Like, how did she get here? Because she wasn't on the island, so she's more curious than anything. Is this an illusion? Is this real? Because Hank hasn't gotten there yet, so her curiosity is piqued.
Okay, Reggie.
Reggie is probably somewhat confused, questioning whether or not she is there, or whether this is just some trick Carcossa is playing on Hank and all of us, but also slightly worried.
Okay. Law.
I'll be sitting watching with a kind of curious expression, trying to figure out, because I'm sifting through those memories of the things that Hank said when we were last in a room together. And he hasn't spoken huge amounts about her, and I've never been able to figure out what the relationship was like and quite what was going on there. So, Law's a people watcher. She'll be trying to figure this out.
Okay. And Virginia, what's she doing? What's running through her mind right now?
She saw Hank do some pretty rough stuff with that doctor, but she's very curious about Mrs. Hank and sizing this woman up, trying to figure out, you know, what to think of her. She's not really thinking like this isn't a real person. She's just assuming this is a real person, and you know, just checking this woman out. Contemplating what she's wearing to court. Is that what she would have worn? Probably not.
It doesn't look like she's come prepared for court. It's definitely the case. But then again, could anyone really come dressed prepared for a court quite like this? That's maybe if you...
I think Virginia is very much compartmentalizing and not dealing with the fact that she's still in Carcossa and it's a really weird and horrible place.
Focus on the dress.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that Virginia's just sort of like caught up in like, what's she wearing now? That's like not what she'd want to wear. Completely oblivious to all of the horror outside of that tiny little field of vision. Hank runs over to her, and the minds are very strong. As you know, they're not human whatsoever. They quite happily bat him away. But the jester says, it's fine. Let the happy couple be reunited at last. Excellent idea, Professor. Luckily, we procured this one in advance for just such an occasion as this.
Jolly good news.
Will you be needing any more witnesses? If we need to call them to the stand, we can make sure that is arranged.
Might I request the gentleman whom Miss Patton was unfaithful with please?
Ooh, do we have a name for this gentleman? Perhaps she will be forthcoming, or perhaps Mr. Patton will, once his face is no longer aghast.
Yes, that would probably be for the best.
I think maybe if we are looking for, witnesses to support Hank, maybe we should ask for the coach. The guy from the team. Who would know Hank better and his numbers,
We could certainly ask for him.
Virginia's very confused about whether we're meant to be helping or hindering Hank.
I'm not sure he would provide the kind of testimony we really need to
support.
You
don't know guys in their sports because you're academic. Trust me, no one knows a guy better than his sports team.
I'm sure you are correct.
That's a great number of witnesses.
Yes. I don't know if that would have the desired effect, but maybe. Why did we see how he's doing, and then we can.
I'm sorry, Professor Wilkes. I know you.
No. It's a very sweat is pouring at this point. It's like I'm mountain climbing in the Sahara at this stage. That sounds like a good idea. Maybe we can
be quiet
see.
And sit back down.
No. Thank you for your support.
I'd very quietly just pull a handkerchief out of my back pocket and hand it to Wilkes without even looking.
I'll mop my brow and then hand it back, and it'll probably make a noise like.
No, you keep it.
Thank you. Put it in my jacket and probably touch that bullshit amulet I was given last time. To find out what's going on with that.
Yeah. Roll me a d6. Roll me a d6.
If I lose more sanity from this, someone's going to suffer.
Just a quick test while
You're good,
Yep,
Gareth.
good.
You're good.
Yep, cool.
Much better, yep. 3.
All right, restore 3 points of sanity to yourself.
Oh.
That's your boon.
I am so going to get fucked for that later.
Okay, Hank, what's happened while you were just away there is that the mimes at first pushed you back, but the jester said to allow you to go and see her. So they've backed off, and she hasn't really paid any mind to you yet. She's just staring upwards at the bodies in utter fear.
So Hank's trying to hold her head against his chest and like keep her away from looking. Betty, I'm sorry. This is not what I wanted. Betty, just look at me. It's Hank. I'm here. We're okay. We're gonna get through this. Just look down. Look at the floor. Look at the floor, please, sweetheart.
Okay, I'm gonna roll her a sanity check. Yeah, no. She, her eyes are transfixed, but you could like grab. Yeah, I mean, you could like forcefully like put a hand or an arm over her eyes so she's not actually looking anymore, and she doesn't resist this. But she's not coming around to you at this point. And the jester says, "Mr. Patton, Professor Wilkes here had a name to ask, either of you or your dear wife. The witness that you wish to call, Mr. Wilkes, regarding an issue of faith, I believe."
My skin is probably the color of chalk at this stage.
Hank is chucking serious fucking eyes at you, like the angriest eyes.
If you didn't like me before, the name of the man she was unfaithful with.
Like there is a good like half a minute of silence.
Drama in the court.
James Cooper was his name.
James Cooper was his name. Very well. Do we call to the stand Mr. Cooper as well?
First one, then the other, please.
Very good, very good. We'll work on procuring Mr. Cooper for you. Very well, Betty. There are questions for you. And all of a sudden, Betty's face like snaps out of it from wherever you've got her hanging, wherever you're holding her. She like snaps out of it as though the jesters just snapped her out of a hypnotism or something like that. As though suddenly she's back in the room, and she looks up and she sees you, Hank. Where am I? What did you do?
Betty, I'm sorry. I just wanted to see you one last time. I didn't mean for you to get involved in this. I'm so sorry. Just do what. Is there any way we can stop this? Just.
Mr. Patton, I'm afraid we're going to have to ask you to step away. You seem to be leading the witness.
She's done nothing for this. This is on.
Mr. Patton, it was not I who called her. It was the judges here, and their word is final. So please, step back from the witness, Mr. Patton.
Like, Hank will look angry, like he wants to try and stop something, but he knows how badly things could go, and it's probably not going to be for him. So he'll kind of try and hold on and give Betty's hand a squeeze before he kind of steps back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the mimes either side of her sort of look at you with and waggle their fingers as though they're about to do something. Very well. Please, judges, if you have any questions for Miss Betty, please feel free to ask them. And as a reminder to all of us here, we are trying to decipher who is the truest artist of both of our candidates here. So, fire away.
I'll stand up and sort of straighten out my suit, and my fingers will slip with sweat on the buttons, but that may not be super noticeable. Miss Patton, I must ask you a few questions, but don't worry, your answers will help your ex-husband no end.
She glares at Hank. This is all his fault, isn't it? He got me into this, didn't he?
That remains to be seen, but yes, there is a large chance that this is in fact his fault. Now, I'd like you to cast your mind back, if you would, to how you initially felt upon marrying Mr. Patton.
What has that got to do with anything? What's wrong with you people?
I must remind you that you are under oath.
How did I feel when I first...
Yes,
is this a nightmare? Please, be honest with me.
I am being honest, and I'm afraid I must press you for an answer. Your emotional state immediately after marrying Mr. Patton, it's actually very important in terms of motivation and accountability for the witness.
I don't know, I suppose I was... happy?
Would you characterize yourself as in love?
I suppose.
I mean, suppose is a very vague word. Did you not love?
Yes, but if it'll get me out of here.
Of course, the more rapidly we answer the questions, the faster you will, in fact, get out of here. Please, so there is that.
I don't know what Don Maranzano once came calling for money.
Was that an acquaintance of Mr. Patton's?
Yes.
I'm not familiar with the name, actually. We don't have that on record. Might you elucidate us regarding him?
He's a gangster, a mobster. Hank owes him money. Is this what it's all about? All of these...
possibly circuitously, yes. Would you say Mr. Patton owes him money for any good reason, or maybe a more nefarious one?
Gambling.
He liked to gamble a great deal, did he?
He liked he said he liked a flutter, but he wanted so much.
So you would say a very sizable gambling debt that Mr. Patton built up.
And he left it all with me.
That's
they want
terrible.
it from me. They're threatening my life, and now they've taken me here.
That's awful. The gangsters are threatening your life because of Mr. Patton's gambling debts.
Well, he said if he skipped town, then I owe money.
You, of course, owe him the money. You would be the person whom they would take their pound of flesh from.
Yes.
Listen, that is.
I don't want any of this. I'll find the money. I promise.
I'm sure you won't. Now, on a separate note, you said before that you would characterize yourself as in love with Mr. Patton initially, when you married him.
I suppose yes.
Deeply in love?
Yes.
Passionately in love.
What does it matter? Is that the same thing?
I want to characterize the physical aspect of your relationship.
Passionately. Okay. Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. Now, Mr. Patton, to us, indicated his extreme contempt for you not too long ago, when he indicated that the only reason he would attend some sort of art showing was to spite you. Now, obviously, this shocked and appalled us. But
he's a fucking idiot.
I would not disagree. But could you perhaps characterize your feelings towards Mr. Patton later in your marriage?
Contempt, utter contempt.
Understood. And now, of course, this is a sensitive subject, and I understand why you may not wish to discuss it in full, but I'm afraid I must press you for absolute truth. At what point did you begin your affair with Mr. Connor?
I don't know the exact date. Years into our marriage.
And what prompted...
What was I supposed to do?
Oh, no, I understand completely. He was a monster of a man, no doubt. How would you characterize Mr. Patton at the time that you began your affair?
Completely absent, self-obsessed, uncaring. He's someone who's gotten everything he's ever wanted and just walked into it his whole life.
So
and then when things go badly, he just leaves it with me.
So feckless, a useless man, a man incapable of responsibility or living up. Would you describe him as less than a man? Yes, I understand.
Exactly.
I understand fully, yes. Now, when you did begin your affair, and of course Mr. Patton was unaware of this at the time. Now, how would you categorize the sexual component of the affair?
How would I categorize it?
Was it merely... this is a very personal question, I do apologize. Would you describe it as the lovemaking as fantastic, or would you be more inclined to describe it as lukewarm?
Now, I've just had about enough of this. What the fuck is going on?
I'm afraid the
here?
audience needs to hear this answer, Mr. Patton. Please,
I'm terribly sorry, but I don't believe you are on the witness stand at this time, Mr. Patton.
Mr. Wilkes, if I ever get anywhere...
May I ask that the judge silence the witness, silence the defendant? What are we calling you? Is descendant right? No, that's not right. It is a bit right, but that's not what I mean.
Supplicant.
Yeah, that sounds perfectly, yeah.
Mr. Patton, this is your final warning. If you do interrupt once again, you will be silenced.
Thank you. Now, Miss Patton. Ms. What is your maiden name? I'm assuming you would prefer me to refer you that way. You have a maiden name?
That's a question for Gareth, actually. What is
Betty's
maiden name?
Clark with an E.
Clark with an E. Did you say Miss Clark?
Oh.
That spicy little E on the end.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
Miss Clark, that's how amusing.
Wait a minute.
I'm Ms. Clark. I'm sure you prefer me to refer you as Ms. Clark. I don't imagine you want any connection to that name more.
Quite.
Wait a minute.
Fine, yes.
Elsie, are you related to her?
I don't believe so. No, I'm an only child. I mean, I could have cousins, but not that I know of.
Never seen that woman in my life.
Yes. Clark's a very common last name.
Sorry, I shot for one of my teachers when I was at primary school. I'm not sure. It was this.
How Freudian.
Clark with me.
How very, very Freudian.
Apologies then, Ms. Clark. How would you characterize the lovemaking?
As you said before, passionate.
Would you describe it as
miles better?
Much better than Mr. Patton, you would say.
He was always a drunken sloth.
So his lovemaking you would characterize as very mediocre? Would you use bad? Pathetic. Really? That is a striking characterization. Now, during the affair, prior to Mr. Patton finding out, how would you describe your feelings, your happiness in that time?
Well, with my husband at the time, none at all. But with James, much happier. He was there when I needed him.
Of course, and obviously, somewhat saved you from this repellent brute. Yes.
Absolutely, and as soon as we decided I
I told him and about the divorce.
Of course. As any right-thinking person would. And how did Mr. Patton react to that news?
He was angry and confused, as though he couldn't have seen it coming, but I told him for a long time that it would.
Oh, you mentioned for a great deal of time how unhappy you were prior to the...
Yes.
Of course. That is terrible indeed. Now, just a couple of... You've done ever so well, Miss Clark. Just a couple of final questions. Now that you are free of Mr. Patton, but of course...
Not sure that I am.
Of course, Mr. Patton will not be returning to prevent you from having to claim, as it were, the debt that he left for you with, I forget the name of the mobster.
Don, wherever I put his name. Maranzano.
Miss Maranzano. Did he give across any impression as to what would happen if you did not pay? What was the sum again? Sorry, that you, the sum of money?
It changes every time, but now it's in the thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars?
He said he would, well, it would hurt me immeasurably, and they would kill me.
My word, so you'll die because of Mr. Patton?
And James as well.
Oh, James, both of you will die.
They came to his place of work and threatened him there.
Oh, that's terrible. So you and
Hank is visibly weeping at this point, and just tears are streaming down his face.
And my child.
Oh, they threatened to kill your child as well. Would that be your child with Mr. Patton or your child with Mr. Connor?
That would be... Wait, out of character. She has a child with you, Gareth, yeah?
No, we didn't have a kid. It can be... No,
yeah, okay. Just checking. Me and James, I...
Oh, so you had a child since Mr. Patton?
I hadn't told Hank. But yes.
Oh, okay. I wonder if Mr. Patton ever wanted children himself. Interesting. And now, how old is your? Is it a lovely
motherfucker?
Judge, please. Oh, sorry, what am I calling the jester?
Yeah, yeah, jester, whatever. It doesn't.
Hello, annoying character from Skyrim, please.
Hello, I'm back again. Mr. Patton. And the two mimics, the mimes rather, stroll over to you, Hank, and grab you. One of them punches you in the face. It's quite painful.
Yeah, Hank recoils and doubles over. He's on his last legs anyway, so I imagine it.
Yeah. The two of them are holding him now, holding him up. Thank you. Please continue, Mr. Wilkes.
Yes, is it a lovely baby boy or a girl? I take it is a baby that we're talking about, that the life of whom they're threatening.
A baby girl.
Oh, lovely. What is her name?
Amelia.
Amelia. Oh, delightful. So, little baby Amelia, and of course your husband James, and of course yourself will all die. How did your parents react to the birth of your child with Mr. Connor?
They were happy.
Of course, as well they might be that you finally...
Ecstatic, yes.
And how would you characterize your parents' attitude towards Mr. Connor in comparison to, for example, Mr. Patton?
Well, they approve much more.
No, of course. What does Mr. Connor do for a job, sorry?
He's a teacher.
Oh, wonderful. What does he teach? That's fascinating. I'm actually a professor myself.
You're Joker, Jester, sir,
yes.
I'm sorry.
I mean, how is this relevant to the trial? I don't understand. I don't care what he does.
Very well. Professor Wilkes, please try and stay on topic here, or very swiftly get to a point.
Motive and characterization, Your Honor.
Sustained, but keep it quick.
So, your husband is a teacher. Does he teach elder students or young children?
Children, young children.
Oh, and do they like him as a teacher? They find him a very...
they love him, yes. He's an excellent teacher.
Interesting. So, to sum up, if I may, your husband was an abusive, alcoholic gambler who you loved initially a great deal, but obviously, over time, you neither wanted him to touch you nor be in the same room as you. He left you with a gigantic gambling debt that will see you, your husband, the teacher for young children whom love him, and your baby, Amelia, all murdered at the hands of a violent mobster, and all of this, without exception, including, of course, the spectacular lovemaking you now enjoy, is the fault of Mr. Patton, whom I must remind, and you are under oath, you characterized as a pathetic lovemaker.
In a word, yes.
And knowing all of this, what would you like to say to Mr. Patton?
I have nothing left to say to him. Please, just let me go.
Thank you so much, Miss Clark. You've been very helpful.
The justice. Very good. Any further questions?
Yes,
I have no further.
No, Miss Belmont.
Before your marriage, before you met Mr. Patton, would you say you are a faithful woman?
In matters of faith, or
no, sexually? Did you believe that was important?
I suppose. Yes.
Did you ever think that you would be the kind of person who would do this?
No, but I didn't think Hank was the person that he turned out to be.
So you would say your marriage to him destroyed your purity? You believe in love?
No, I still believe in love, but he took a lot from me.
Your faithfulness? Were it not for him,
I'm a faithful wife to James. But I suppose.
Go on.
Before I met him, I believed in all of those things, but he was my first husband, my first love, and it didn't turn out very well.
That's a shame. No further questions.
Any more? For I shut her trap.
I have, and I'm using my words very carefully, no further use for this person.
Very good.
Can Hank
take her away, boy?
Can Hank beleagueredly put his hand up and try and ask a question?
They ignore you. The mimes take her away, and the jester says,
"Thank you so much for your service, Miss Patton."
And with that, her head falls down again, and she looks as though she's been overcome
perhaps by the stress of the situation or by whatever it is the jester has the ability to do to people. And the two mimes drag her out of the courtroom, and the door closes behind her. Well, that was very nice.
I have a question.
Yes, I was wondering if you're going to pipe up, dear boy.
No, it's more about what happens to her now. Does she go back to where she was?
I'm not sure that is a relevant question.
I think it's relevant.
Relevant to what exactly?
The safety of the witnesses that we call.
May I answer, actually?
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead, Wooksy.
Nobody leaves Carcossa without the will of the master.
Well said.
Right.
Now, I believe another witness was to be called. Mr. James Connor, was it?
Yes, please.
Very well. Unfortunately, seeing as this is a little bit of last moment witness calling, I'm going to need to give someone to go and fetch him, one of you judges. Now, of course, Mr. Patton's out of the running, but does anyone feel like going to fetch Mr. James for me?
Oh, yes, I will. I will, definitely.
Yes, anyone else? Any more for any more?
I could go.
Miss Turner. Very good, very good. A two-man body-snatching team. How about yourself, Miss Belmont? Feeling up for a little bit of snatch and grab?
I glance at Reggie and Elsie, and then at Wilkes and Virginia, and I'm like, ooh, I don't think it's a good idea to leave them here alone. Will the trial be continuing in absence?
No, we'll adjourn 5 minutes. Won't take much longer than that, I'm sure.
I'll glance at Wilkes. Like, do you want me to go?
My eyes are glassy, like wax has been overlaid over them. I'm hanging on to my own sanity by such a fragmentary thread, because I know what I'm doing, and I know how awful it is. And I'm not a morally repugnant human being. But I also... What? I can't hear you. I think you've been silenced. No, but I know what I'm doing, but I also know what awaits him no matter what.
In that case, sorry,
yeah. So that's, yeah, I barely even look alive.
In that case, I'll stand up and go, yes, I will go with him.
Very well, Miss Clark, not to be confused with the other Miss Clark, and Mr. Reginald. Anyone, any more for any more?
I think I'll stay here.
Yeah, I think I'm good here.
Very wise. Very wise.
I glance over at Reggie and just go, remember by the docks? No busting through the doors while we're gone.
He'll give a nonchalant glance away.
The court is adjourned 5 minutes. Reginald and Elsie, please adjourn to your little room over there.
Two mimes open the door for you, and it's the same room that you just came out of a few moments ago to go and sort of rest in. And as the two of you are filing out, he turns to... oh, and by the way, Hank is also dragged out through the back door. Hank, a few moments later... Yeah, go ahead.
Voluntary sanitary loss. I cannot...
Yeah, go ahead.
That would have fucked me up. Just a D6?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I rolled a D6. Yeah, we both rolled a
D6.
There you go.
That also would have destroyed me more than that, just then.
Yeah. You find yourself in the room where you killed Eric Carlisle, and you're left there in waiting again. Sebastian, Virginia, and Law, the jester, turns to you.
Right, so here's the job. We're going to send you to the last known location we have for off, Mr. Connor. You just go and fetch him for me. There'll be a little mark on your handies. Just give him a good grabbing and come back, all right? See you soon. And he extends a hand for which to all of you place yours on his.
I kind of shudder a bit like there are bugs on my back and just slap my hand down on his.
I'll put my hand
I've had this mark before, I take it. So
yes.
I like as if being dragged with all the veins sticking out of my hand, eventually put mine on the top of Virginia's.
Okay. Similarly to the last time you were sent back, Wilkes, very swiftly as you place your hands down, you feel yourselves falling, vision fading, and a strange sense of displacement as though you're asleep and being moved, as though for a second you're walking while sleepwalking, I guess, and being moved around. You have a strange sense of no longer being where you were before. And a few moments later, you find yourself seated in what looks to be a reception. The smells of dead bodies are gone, and instead there's the smell of it's a very distinctive smell, and it's a tough one to really describe. But you know when you walk into a school and you haven't been into school for years, and you're just like, wow, this just smells exactly like my fucking primary school and all the schools that I've ever been in. So like weird carpets and shit like that. That's exactly what you're getting. This is undoubtedly a school reception that you've just found yourselves at. There's a receptionist. She's sitting at the desk, and you guys are seated down in chairs. There are doors leading out into what must be the rest of the school. And the sounds of children running about are unmistakable. The sun is shining bright outside. It doesn't seem like you're in Carcossa at all. The secretary looks up from the desk and says, sorry, I didn't see any of you there. Sorry, who was it that you said you came to see?
We have an appointment with James Connor.
Mr. Connor, absolutely. Just wait there for a couple of minutes and
you see, he teaches my Nick, and I'm not very happy with the report card that he sent home.
Oh, right. Well, you're going to have to speak to him about that, I'm afraid. I'm the receptionist here, but I'll let him know.
I just stare.
By the way, all
window.
of you, where your hands touched the jesters, see that same yellow sign, which seems to be carved into your hands, and it's glowing a very dull yellow right now. Sort of like an old wound that's gone yellow. Certainly not glowing light out or anything like that, but you can tell that there is a light to it, which is quite unnatural. A few moments later, a man steps out from a door. He is in his 30s, quite well put together. Obviously a teacher here at the school, blonde hair and quite handsome. He opens the door and says, "Oh, you're all here to see me? Are you all together? Or should I see you one by one?"
No, all together.
All right, well, come on through to my office. He holds the door open for you guys, for the first person to step through, and starts leading you through one of the school corridors.
Virginia definitely hesitates for a moment and looks towards the door out of this building.
No. I'll catch her glance. You mustn't.
We're out.
The pity.
Yeah, and I'll just hold up my hand and say, "We're not out."
And Virginia kind of looks over the hand and looks at Law. And in her head, she's just remembering the doctor with the nails through his knees, his eyes gouged out. And she turns and she kind of quietly turns her own hand over and then wonders how much it hurts to cut your own hand off. That's right. We're here to talk to Mr. Connor about the report card he sent home with Nick.
I don't remember it, but I can get it up here in the office for you. I've got them all on file.
This is Professor Wilkes. He's a child psychologist, and he's not too happy.
Hello. I'm a professor at Arkham.
Oh, right. Very well. Well, come through to my office here, and by the way, as you head out into the hallway, there are kids all walking around, from ages, I guess, like 11 to 16, sort of going about the place. There are kind of hordes of them walking about, and Mr. Connor makes his way through the crowd, leading you guys over to a door with his name on it. Come on in, take a seat. And he's got a desk, and you can see that he has a picture of it's clearly a baby girl, and a photograph also of who must be Betty on his desk, along with all of the usual accoutrements and papers and stuff like you'd find on a teacher's desk. So, Nick, child psychologist, I hope everything's okay.
Yes, I'm sure it would be. Unfortunately, that was something of a ruse to get you on to the office. Are you familiar with Don Mariziano, or what was the damn name?
That's about
Maranzano.
Maranzano, yeah.
Maranzano.
I'm sorry. I think you should leave.
I'm afraid that's not possible at this time. You see, while you are here, your family is not.
I look over at
they
Will
in
with
danger?
the kind of roll of the eyes, like, oh god, he is not used to being around humans.
He stands up. Are they in danger? We need to call the police.
No
quite...
danger. It's all going to be fine. I glance out of the door. Is that still open?
Yeah, it's slightly ajar. Yeah.
Okay.
No
I'll glance out of that and just look at the children for a second, and then stand and go and close the door.
But potentially they will be fine. Yes. But you must accompany us now if you wish.
Look, Mr. Connor.
Who the hell are you?
There's a secret
people?
trial going on, and we need you to come be a witness.
That's not. Yes.
That is exactly the truth of the matter, Professor Wilkes. Let's hurry up.
Who the fuck are you people? And what's going on?
We are
Betty and Amelia. Are they okay?
Currently, however, that may change.
That sounds like a threat. It really is not supposed to be. But you have the opportunity to put away the people who are threatening your family. Do you want to help?
Where are we going?
You don't want to know.
It's actually
I do.
very near here. You just have to agree to accompany us.
I'm not sure I want to go anywhere with you people. I don't even know who any of you are.
Look,
no,
and now you're telling me about Don Caranzano and my...
We're a secret operation for the government. These two get real spooky about it, but that's the fact of it, and you gotta come to court with us, sir.
Well,
She's saying like
my
impression of every cop she's ever met.
Yeah. That seems to my D then.
Alright. And she's gonna reach into her packet, and then she's just gonna grab him and really hope that Laura and Sebastian follow suit, because she has no other ideas now.
I look at Wilkes and say, does he have to agree?
He probably would have to agree.
You grab him, and he sort of like starts to, wrestle. He's wrestling with Virginia at this point. He's much
bigger. This is assault on a police officer! She's like objecting.
You're causing a bit of a stir, and you can tell that this is going to be loud enough in a busy school for someone to start paying attention to this.
Okay, I'm just going to book it across the room and just tackle him.
Well, that works.
Okay, roll me a fighting brawl.
Oh, God, okay.
Can I roll as well as she's trying to attempt to restrain him?
Well, that's
94.
Okay, let me see.
It's feeling like a no.
Come on, Wilkes, help us.
I think he's done enough.
I don't think I have any weapons or any chance of helping realistically.
Fail.
Okay. It will roll as well. Yeah, okay, so on a 20, he pushes both of you off of him as he's now being attacked, and he calls out, "Help! Help!" And
I'm afraid the louder you shout, the worse this would be for your family.
He's not necessarily paying too much attention now. He shouts, "Help! Help!" And he bolts for the door.
I pull my gun out and just hold it out towards his head as he's doing that. I'm just like, this will all be over in a second. If you run out of breath.
Mr. Connor. She'll
Roll
do
me
it.
an intimidate with plus 20 for the gun to his head.
How do I do
And Virginia
that?
very much means her words when she tells him that Law will do it, because she remembers Law putting out cigarettes and doing horrible things with the doctor.
How do I do it with the plus? Oh, it's just plus.
Just
20.
roll it and then add a plus 20 to your score. Factor that in.
Oh my god, what's with the rolls?
He's out the door.
Push it! Push it!
You can push it.
Yeah, fuck it.
It can't get worse.
Hey,
There you go.
that's more like it.
That's a minus
96 to
14.
0.
Whatever the push
Yeah. So you, for a second, he thinks about bolting. But with a gun to his head, he gulps and stops and puts his hands up and says, "Listen, I don't know who the hell you people are, but you're sure as hell not working with the police.
You don't need
You're
to
working
know
with
who we
Don
are.
Caranzano."
Do you want
Dad.
your child to grow up without a father?
Listen, I'll come with you,
Do
okay?
you?
I'll come with you.
Good. I hold out my hand.
He looks confused and slowly takes it. And as he does, the same thing happens as keeps happening. And you feel a sort of, you feel a warmth where your hand, whether the etchings and the marks were, a yellow sign was on all of your hands. And you find yourselves falling out of consciousness once again. And you wake up, you're in the waiting room with the rest of your party. James isn't with you. By your best guess, you reckon he's at least in Carcossa now.
Oh, that
We'll
was
cut back
bracing.
actually just a little bit in time to give Reggie and Elsie a moment to plot plan whatever it is they're doing. So it really is about 5 minutes. Elsie and Reggie, you go back into the room. This is before the rest of them have returned. What do you do?
He's just gonna. He's still got the harpoon with him, and he's kind of leaning on it. And he looks at Elsie and he. So, whatever witness Wilksy calls, they come here and they don't leave. Right?
That seems to be the long and short of it.
Okay. Right, okay. Good job he's not going to call anyone we know, right?
Well, I know
Right.
we're on the jury, so
Yeah.
I don't see how that would happen.
Oh, that's all right, then. That's fine.
We're not one of the supplicants in this
No.
sense.
So, what do you think's going to happen to Hank? I mean, I'm not entirely sure what Wilksy's doing here. I mean, is he for
Well,
Hank being the heart or against Hank?
I didn't
I'm not sure.
sound like it from the questions he was asking. He didn't sound very artsy by the time he
No.
was done questioning the first
I mean-
witness, perhaps.
I mean, don't get me
Maybe after
wrong.
the second.
Artists are depressing bastards who normally commit
That's
suicide.
true.
But
Yes, and they do drink heavily a lot of times.
but I'm not seeing much art. So maybe he's. But what happens to him when he loses? I'm assuming he
Ooh,
knows.
probably endless
He knows
torture.
it's bad.
Yes. Probably torture, maybe death.
Yeah,
Not
at
that
least in
either one doesn't sound great, but I think he being the next heart of Carcossa would probably be better for us.
Well, that's what I thought that was the plan. I mean, he could potentially try and help us. I mean, you keep saying
but
that
what
it's not
happens
much,
if we choose the next heart of Carcossa and they're not very artistic? That could have
I don't know.
negative drawbacks as well.
What, like, shut it down? Or, like, just mass chaos?
Or just make it a pretty shit place.
I mean, it's a pretty shit place so far, so to make it even more shit is going to be like,
there's lots
turn
of
it into
culture.
Swansea.
You really don't like that place, do you?
Well, I've been there. It's enough for anyone.
I've been to the heart of darkness.
Carcossa's a piece of piss next to Swansea.
Carcossa
got
is
nothing
actually
on
in Swansea.
Carcossa, they merely send you mad. They have sex with your body once you're dead in Swansea.
Allegedly.
Can't prove anything. Well, if we choose the wrong heart, perhaps this is the next Swansea. I don't know.
That'll be a shithole, won't it?
Wouldn't it?
How does this get us any closer to winning? That's what I want to know.
Because we have to know the name of the heart. So we have to choose one.
Well, we have to know who lives at the heart, right? Who lives
Yes,
at
who
the
lives
heart
at the
of
heart?
Carcossa,
We need the name of that.
right? And I was under the impression that if Hank was the one to go in, he'd more likely give us a hint to who's that, rather than Carlisle.
He would be living there. He'd be the new...
No, he'd just be fuel. He turns to fuel to whatever's already there, right?
He would live in the heart, and the heart is the fuel.
Oh, right.
Life force.
This place is
You
very
really didn't
confusing.
go to school much, did you?
No, you know I didn't go to school.
just had to ask again.
Yeah.
Because it boggles my mind, Reggie.
What? What
How
do you
you
mean?
could
I
be-
was
you
too
could hide
poor.
so many things, and yet be so stupid about others.
Well, you don't have to have book smarts to rob rich bastards. It's kind of easy, really. When you really think about it. I mean, I may not appreciate it as much as you do.
There's an art to stealing that requires, like, knowledge of what you're heisting.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, I'm not too much fussed on the actual art. I mean, if a rich bugger's after it and wants it, that's valuable, and then I learn about, the people, and then I work with the people and get me in there and then get out.
You don't learn about the art at all?
No, not really. I just flog it. And he's genuinely smirking because he knows how much that irks Elsie.
And about at this time, the rest of the investigators show up as you guys are fighting with each other.
Just make me so mad sometimes. Is what she says as they walk into the room. Oh,
Oh, you're back.
welcome back.
How'd it go?
It went.
We
We
got
were
the
out,
guy?
Well,
you were out.
Mm.
Well, why did you come back, you dozy?
Not really.
Mm.
What do you mean?
Never really out with the mark on your hand.
I was thinking about it, though. I was thinking about just cutting it off.
Oh, no.
But then good news, that would have had no effect other than really hurting me.
Right, okay, so mental note,
How do you
Elsie,
know, Wilkes?
don't get the hand thing. Mental note,
Because he
don't
reads
get the hand
books. It's
thing.
called an education.
Don't know shit about
You
anything.
fucking imbeciles! It's called book learning!
I told my husband books would be nothing but trouble, and look what it got him.
Well, it's all about the kind of books you read, surely.
Maybe if there were no books, none of us would be here. You ever think about that?
I think that is
both
almost
definitively
certainly
true and infinitely wrong all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
I flop
there
down in
is
my
that
seat and
this
kick
still
my
exists
feet up.
Because other forms of art would still exist. There's paintings and
Well, art would always
song.
exist, right? I mean,
Yes.
even
What
Cave
is
Say
writing
not
in a book with a
specifically
painting?
books.
It's just painting filed in a very sensical way. Paintings communicate.
I'm gonna go and vomit in the corner, by the way.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Enjoy that.
There's a rap on the door.
Me again. All right, come on. He's ready for us now. Thanks for grabbing him for me. School's
Okay,
in
cool.
session, everyone.
Right, okay. He's going to pick up the harpoon and head back in.
Wipe away
So
vomit,
once again-
walk into court.
Yeah, once again you head back into the courtroom filled with the hundreds of swinging bodies from the rafters, and this time in between two mimes stands Mr. James Connor, looking terrified, afraid, and helpless in the arms of these two mimes at the witness stand. Hank and Archie are brought out again. As a reminder, Archie seems to be very much enjoying himself and having a great time, as though he's taking in some beautiful artwork, looking up at the bodies. You guys take your seats once again, and the jester says, "Right, the court is back in session, everybody, and thanks to some of our judges here, we have Mr. Connor as a witness." So, please, proceed with any questions that Mr. Connor may need to answer.
I'll do the same, adjust the jacket thing, and step forward. Mr. Connor, terribly sorry to have to bring you here. I'm afraid.
Where am I?
Best not to concern yourself too
They
much with where
brought
you
me
are.
here. And he
Yes,
points
yes.
accusing fingers at them.
This is a courtroom.
Please treat it as such.
Fuck is this place?
It is a courtroom of a sort, and if you do answer the questions honestly, you will have the maximum possible chance of seeing your lovely wife again.
That's all I want. Please, just let me.
And that would be all you want, because of course
let
you
them
love
go.
her.
Do
Oh, no,
whatever
no,
you
of
want
course.
from me.
No, understand. And that would be because you love her, yes?
Yes, I love both of them.
Of course. Now, a few questions. When you initially began your affair with Miss Clark,
Yes.
how did she seem to you? How would you characterize her in the initial flush of the relationship?
She was lonely, upset. She said that her husband was never there and had gotten her into all sorts of troubles, and I wanted to help.
Of course, as any real man would. And when you began the sexual element of your relationship, could you, for the court, and I must remind you, you are under oath, characterize Ms. Clark's reaction?
Her reaction to what?
The
Sorry,
sexual component of your relationship. I know, a very personal question indeed. I'm terribly sorry, but remember, this is for your family.
She was happy.
Ecstatic, may you characterize it that way?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Ecstatic. Certainly. I'm not sure what kind of court this is.
Yes, it is very confusing. Don't concern yourself. Now, as I understand it, your relationship with your new wife. Congratulations, by the way, on the birth of your daughter, little Amelia.
Is she okay?
Very probably not, as I understand it. Now, you are aware, of course, of a gentleman named Don Maranzano.
Yes, I am.
Are you equally aware of the threats that have been leveled at you, your wife, and your young daughter?
Of course I am, yes.
And what is the condition of those threats coming to pass?
They want money, and a lot of it, thousands. And if we don't pay them, they'll hurt us.
Of course. And And I assume you, as a secondary school teacher, you do not have the money.
No, I don't. I'm trying to get it.
Of course. And how is that going?
Not well. Every time they want more.
And would there? I assume if Mr. Patton were to return, then you would all be safe. They would focus their ire upon him.
I hope so. I've never met the fellow, but
of course.
I understand he's left her run away and.
Yes. He most assuredly will never return. And assuming that you know that now, how do you feel about Mr. Patton?
I despise the fellow. He's he's fled all of his responsibilities, and left us with,
of course,
this debt.
That's terrible, I agree. Mr. Patton, by the way, is the gentleman in the supplicant box over there.
What? And he looks at Hank.
You? This is Mr. Patton.
Hank won't meet his gaze. Hank will be looking straight down at the floor.
Is there anything you would like to say to Mr. He is on trial in a sense, yes.
Anything I'd like to say to him? Well, he needs to come back and pay up.
Otherwise, what will happen?
We'll all be hurt or worse, maybe killed.
Terrible story, a terrible story indeed. And you've never met Mr. Patton, you say?
No, I haven't.
So, obviously, you yourself would be very much an innocent in this affair, merely marrying the young lady, Miss Clark, and dragging her out of the pit of ignominy she had found herself in at the hands of Mr. Patton. Would you characterize the relationship like that?
That is my understanding of it, yes.
And of course, even more innocent than yourself, of course. Your young daughter. How old is little Amelia?
She's almost 2.
Two?
Yes,
two.
Of course she's innocent.
Of course, a very precocious age. I imagine she's learning and growing every single day.
Yes, and I very much want to know that she's safe.
Because of Mr. Patton, she is the precise opposite of safe.
What can I do?
Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. This has all been brought down on you by Mr. Patton. I know it might seem like screaming at the darkness, but perhaps if you told Mr. Patton just exactly how you feel now, and knowing what you know about your wife who will die, your child who will also die, and obviously yourself. I understand you're probably worried the least about yourself, but you will also die. Then perhaps you might be able to save your child and your wife.
If there's any part of you which is good, then you need to save Betty and my child, and I don't care about myself, but you need to take responsibility for this and help us. You're rich, I understand you have money. I don't know. This isn't our cross to bear.
A funny aside, he actually is rather destitute now because of gambling.
They want someone, and I won't let it be Betty or Amelia. So please, if there's anything good left in you, then you'll help us. If not for me, then for Betty or my child.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. You've been very helpful. I have no further questions.
Any more questions for Mr. Connor?
Tell me more about your daughter. You said she is 2?
Yes. Yes, what do you want to know?
Oh, does she like anything? Tell me of a happy moment.
Well, I remember the moment she was born when I first held her in my arms. There are countless happy memories.
But because of Mr. Patton, there will not be any more.
I'm determined not to allow that to be the case.
So if things go your way, say you manage to take the brunt of it, they kill you, she grows up without a father, how does that go? In your experience as a teacher, children who grow up without fathers. This is, of course, the best case scenario.
To say the least, difficult.
And if Mr. Patton did not exist, if you had met Miss Clark completely without his involvement, you have your nice family, how would life have been without that?
Much simpler. Happier.
And your daughter's life?
The same. About any of this, whatever this is.
She could grow up to be whatever she wants? No baggage?
Of course.
So would you say that Mr. Patton's existence has ruined not just the innocence of this child, but a great potential to contribute to the world?
Yes, yes. I would.
You know what? I think he ruined my life too. And Virginia's kind of like fumbling around. Mr. Jester, where's my checkbook?
Jester says, I don't know. Why would I know that?
I thought you knew everything about this place.
Well, maybe try and remember where you put it and trace your steps backwards from that.
Or maybe think about it very, very hard. Apparently thinking makes things so.
All I can think about is how I went to the party and there was this handsome man there and we were talking about the art. Maybe if we hadn't kept talking about the art, I would have gotten on a boat home.
I just light up another cigarette.
Now you're here. It's even better here.
He seems so nice and he made it seem like he was single, you know? But now I find out he has a wife and he's done all these terrible things. And yesterday I watched him put a cigarette out on a bed.
Oh dear, Miss Turner, perhaps you would like to answer a few questions about your relationship with Mr. Patton, how he seems to have...
And now I don't even understand what we're doing here.
It seems like Mr. Patton has been very creative in the wrecking of so many lives. Quite
the
genius to cause this much mayhem.
Quite the
Does this
milieu
remind you
of
of the
chaos.
paintings, Miss Clark?
Chaos is an art in of itself, some might say.
Not just chaos. There is an art in utterly
Breaking
destroying
hearts.
something beautiful.
Yes, and isn't love a beautiful, wonderful thing?
Love, innocence, purity.
Families.
Utter destruction of all these things in one fell swoop, that is no mean feat.
It's quite impressive.
And now I'm not even gonna get my painting. I paid so much money for that thing. Sobbing, noisy.
I understand. The loss of art is quite tragic.
I pull the hanky out of Wilkes's pocket, still soggy, and throw it at Virginia.
I'd like to call another witness, if I may.
By all means. Are we done with Mr. Connor here?
Yes, I'm finished with
I
this
believe so.
individual.
Take him away. And he is dragged out by the mimes. Who did call to the stand, Professor?
Mr. Patton, please.
Mr. Patton, to the stand. Now we can finally hear from you, Mr. Patton. Cheer up. You were quite talkative before.
What state are you in right now?
Muted. Apparently.
The muted state.
State of
Children's
mute.
mood state.
No,
So
nothing.
muted.
I mean, we did silence for interrupting
I heard
earlier.
that.
Yes,
Only
but you
with
need to
our
turn
eyes.
his voice back on.
I'll turn it on when I want.
Can you hear me?
All right,
No.
then I'm going to tell you
Oh,
some
very
more of my
quiet.
opinions.
Look,
Hold
got
on,
you that
say
side,
it
you're just
again.
quiet.
Hello? Is it still quiet? Is it quiet?
Yeah.
There you
We're
go.
good.
Right.
Speak now.
Wait, yes,
Don't touch
this
anything.
Sorry, I'm having problems today, guys. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'm covered in blood. I'm bleeding from the face. My eyes are puffy, cry eyes. I look like a broken man.
Mr. Patton, I have a few questions, if I may.
Bet you do, you son of a bitch. Just
Yes.
go on.
Having heard what you have heard so far today, how would you characterize yourself?
I'm a piece of shit, and you know I am. And what? Why? Why did
Yeah,
you do
ju-
this?
Just wondering. So, knowing as you do the imminent death of a child because of you, how does that make you feel?
It's not my fault.
I mean, it self-evidently is your fault.
I didn't know this was gonna happen. Why is it my fault?
Because you gambled a great deal of money, and they inherited your debt when you fled to the island to spite them. Because obviously the initial invitation was sent, as I understand it, to your wife, and to spite her, you went in her place to the island, fleeing, as it were, from your responsibilities. So they will be murdered in your stead. And of course, you would have known that when you spited them going to the exhibition, yes?
I didn't spite her. I was.
No,
here
you
to
said exactly that to us on the first day. That was the reason that you were here. You didn't know anything about art. You don't like art. You were here to spite your ex-wife.
Or was all that another cleverly crafted ruse to destroy more lives?
I just wanted to see her again. Just.
You
one
want to
last
see
time.
Betty again? Well, you have. How do you feel?
It's not like that. You're twisting my words.
No, I'm repeating your words. That's utterly different from twisting them.
You and your college degree, you think you're so much better than me.
I feel like it's very clear from today so far that I am much better than you.
It's not on me. I didn't know this was going to happen.
Well, I mean, it seems like a chain of logic that anybody could have predicted would have happened. Gigantic gambling debt, threats to lives, flee, and then inevitable,
there was no
repercussion.
gambling.
I mean, there obviously was, yes.
I didn't gamble, you son of a bitch.
Oh, so the gigantic gambling debt was for what?
It wasn't a gambling debt. It was.
Oh, do tell.
It was a debt.
Oh, yes. The nature of the debt? I must remind you, you are under oath.
It was a repayment. I'd made an agreement with some gentlemen that like to change deals pretty quickly.
A repayment for what?
Hank's eyes will kind of dart to Reggie. Hank's eyes. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Hank's eyes will kind of.
Yes, just talking.
They'll dart to Reggie just for a second, and it was my rookie year. I couldn't go. I couldn't go.
Where?
Hank looks. I dodged the draft.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means. Could you clarify?
It means he's a coward.
The war draft. You were supposed to go to war.
They called me up, and it was my rookie year. I was gonna make the majors, and
but all of us went to war.
I just met Betty.
Apart from you, I take it.
A friend of my team, he knew some people that could...
Oh, so to clarify, I'm sorry, I have been terribly mischaracterizing this as a gambling debt, and you'll have to accept my apology. To clarify, to evade the responsibility that all... I'm sure Mr... I can't remember your surname. What's Reggie's surname? Tom?
That's a very good point. Chapman.
His fake name was
Chapman.
Hobbs.
Yeah, because I know that was his fake name, but I was like... to clarify, unlike myself or Mr. Chapman, or quite honestly, every man, you avoided going to war by paying a great sum of money, and that...
I didn't pay any money. They told me it'd be okay. They just said at some point I'd pay them back. That was it. It was... They agreed it'd be wrong for my career, and
yes,
I could do more as a role model than any soldier could do. They told me
So your
got
wife,
into my head.
your ex-wife, my mistake, and her child, and of course, Mr. Connor, their lives are forfeit because you avoided going to war. So that, and as I understand this, and you'll have to forgive my lack of knowledge on the subject, you could hit a leather ball with a stick. But in an impressive way.
So you have betrayed not only your family, but your country?
The plot.
I must actually. I'll actually have to pass this over. I'm afraid we don't have. Miss Turner, you're an American.
Sure am.
So, would you say betrayal of your country or your family is worse as a crime?
I just can't think of anything worse, you know? Your country's like your family. They support your hopes and your dreams. They give you somewhere to live. There's a thing called morals, Mr. Patton.
Of course.
The audience is all
proud of being an American, Mr. Patton.
So, would you describe yourself, Mr. Patton, as un-American? Perhaps Chinese or Russian?
Russian?
Or, German?
Are you one of them, Mr. Patton?
I was a kid. What else would I do?
You had to have at least been 18, because the draw.
Just to clarify, I'm sure Mr. Chapman and myself also were children when we were called to war.
Even my friend went to war.
Yes, even her husband, Mr. Patton.
He wouldn't even walk to the garden gate to pick up the newspaper, and he went to war.
But you, Mr. Patton...
Do you not think that I've had to live with this every single day since?
How do you live with this?
Quite well, because he hides it miraculously. Look at this. Just all came out of the woodwork, all at once. I really might write a book on this. This is fascinating. It was going to be another textbook, but this... Whew.
You could have helped save Miss Belfont's country from those nasty men, and you stayed home beside a bowl with a snake.
Not just that. You hear stories of how one man in a platoon makes a huge amount of difference. You could have been that man.
But don't worry, you did hit a ball with a stick awfully well. Would you say you're a role model to children?
Imagine what he could have done to those Germans.
Exactly.
Are you a role model to children, Mr. Patton? How is your spectacular baseball career?
They caught up with me and they made me throw games. And
so your career is not doing well now?
You couldn't even be true to baseball!
He's even ruined his own career. Look at it, the list just goes on.
The ultimate betrayal.
It goes baseball, America, then family, somehow.
Is this why you swing so hard every time you get a chance, huh? You just want to ruin everyone's lives that you meet! And you're like, look, I can swing a bat!
No, it's the frustration of not swinging it properly because you were throwing all those games, yeah?
Now, ruining even you're letting your team down.
One more question. How did you feel about Miss Turner when you met her?
Hank will look
I
around.
must remind you, you are under oath.
I thought she didn't.
Please, Mr. Patton, your lies have gone far enough. Honesty really is the best policy here.
I thought she didn't had enough money to hire a good lawyer and get her off.
So you thought she had committed the crime for which she was accused?
It all seemed so. Yeah, I thought she did it.
But you're used to being friends with criminals, so that would not have been a shock to you.
You're the one that made deals with gangsters and dodged the war and couldn't even keep your baseball career on track, and I'm the liar, the cheat, and the killer
here? My.
What? Why don't you ask me what you... I thought of you,
why
Mr.
were you being so nice to me, huh?
The reason I don't ask you, Mr. Patton, is because I don't care. You're so far beneath me.
I think we already know,
your opinion
honestly.
means nothing.
I want to know. I want to know why he was being so nice to me if he thought I did that terrible thing.
A wise question, Miss Turner.
Did you maybe think she could be useful because of the money she has?
She has got a great deal of money, does she not?
Get off the hook.
She looked like she'd be one of Betty's vapid friends, the ones that kept talking and all that shit. I thought you might know her.
I'm a liar, cheat, a murderer, and I'm boring.
I just wanted to
Your
see
Honor,
her.
I think we've heard enough.
Who did you want to see one more time?
I wanted to see her.
Betty?
Yeah.
Well, now that you have, please, how do you feel?
I don't even have words. Even with all those fancy books that you read, I'm not even sure I'd be able to find a word for how I feel right now.
Thank you, Mr. Patton.
Mr. Patton, would you say that you have reaped benefits?
Indescribable. It's in the dictionary.
Would you say you have reaped benefits from being a person from the United States?
I mean, I got a sponsorship from a cigarette company and...
No, I mean, growing up. You had a good life? You made your fortune? Endless opportunities that people in other countries do not have? Freedom to do whatever you want.
You could say it. At one point, I had it, everything that every man would have wanted. I had a beautiful woman on my arm, a career.
And does your country ask for anything in repayment for that?
Well, someone sure as hell fucking took everything I had. Look at me now. Look at what I've got. Look at what I'm...
That's not the question, Mr. Patton. The question is, does your country ask anything of you in return from the life that you have?
No. Not
actually, I believe there's a motto, isn't there? That America has.
There's a few, actually.
It depends on which one you're talking about. It may not have been done yet.
The one that came out in the 1960s.
No, when did the
Live free
fraternity
and die
Liverpool
hard.
Shit, not that one. I know that's the latter day de facto motto of America, to do with don't. Also along the same lines as "Don't take away my guns," but I mean the liberty fraternity thing.
Oh yeah, that might be.
That one existed already, surely.
Yeah, probably.
Does your country ask maybe for loyalty? For you to protect it like it has protected you?
Yes, it does.
And you did not pay back that debt. You chose
He doesn't pay
not
back any
to pay
debt,
back that
it
debt.
appears. He's very good at
Yes.
evading them.
Something of a running theme with you, no?
So intriguing.
And the repercussions of your decision. Did you never give these consideration?
I just thought about playing baseball and getting to be with Betty. That's all I was thinking about.
So you put your own needs first. Everything happened by accident. Unintentional.
How was I to know this? How was I? Did any of you expect this to happen?
It's fairly logical. If you take something from somebody, eventually the debt must be repaid.
But how many times, Mr. Mann? 3 games I gave. 3 games. That's.
It's baseball.
It was meant to be one favor I gave them. He said it would be one favor.
Well, this is why people say don't make deals with gangsters. Maybe you are learning that now.
I'd very much like to hear from this gangster that's been brought up quite a lot.
Yes, that does sound quite intriguing.
Maybe call
Well,
Don
as luck
Maranzano.
should have it, I've had someone procured. It's Mr. Caranzano for just such a moment as this. In fact, he is one of our very own followers.
Charming.
The Crown calls Don Caranzano to the witness stand. The door's open. Go ahead.
No, he's here.
Oh yeah, he's stepping right out. You also have time to ask Hank some more questions if you want. But the jester seems very keen to at least bring Mr. Caranzano in. He's a pretty classic-looking Italian mobster. He's wearing this perfect suit. He's very well dressed, nice little moustache, which has been perfectly, trimmed and preened. He has. When he smiles, as he is right now, you see several teeth which look golden. And he does not look in the slightest bit upset to be here. In fact, similarly to Mr. Virgil, he seems quite happy to be here. You notice on one of his hands a yellow sign which is glowing ever so faintly.
Virginia very hardly fixes her face and straightens her dress.
Mr. Caranzano.
Quite confidently steps towards it. He looks around, winks at the jester, and then once at Hank as well, looking him up and down.
Yes, how can I help you?
I understand you made a bargain of sorts with Mr. Patton. Could you explain the nature of that with as many syllables as possible?
Yes, of course. Well, Mr. Patton and I went into business together several years ago, it must have been now. And, the deal was that he didn't want to be part of the draft, you see. Big career ahead of him and all he thought. So, me and my boys made sure that he didn't have to go join up. In exchange for a favour or two down the road, you see. I called in a couple of favours here and there. And then when I started asking Mr. Patton for some of those proceeds of his earnings, well, he suddenly went missing. So I decided to ask his dear wife for a bit of that cash.
And, Mr. Caranzano, what will be the outcome when they, as I'm sure you know, he will in no way be able to pay.
Oh, well, of course, but I've got a couple of ideas what I might do to her. And little baby.
Please describe them in detail.
Well, there's the barrel, there's cutting off of the toes and the fingers, the flaying and all. Nailing in the kneecaps, one of my personal favourites.
Now,
a combination bitch, baby.
I understand the baby has also been threatened.
Oh, yes, of course. That usually gets them to cough up.
Yes, of course. Unfortunately, they can't cough up. What will happen to the baby? I assume that would be one of the first.
Quite, yes. Although sometimes I like to say best for last, if you know what I mean.
Of course.
Anyway,
Sweat.
It's not going to end up very well. By the way, may I just say I love what you've done with the place.
Could you possibly describe in detail the fate of the child?
Well, any one of those things which I just previously mentioned, then of course it will die. That's long and short of it.
But obviously a smaller barrel, perhaps smaller nails.
Well, I guess so. It's a good idea.
It's usually more effective if somebody is watching, yes?
Yeah, well, I'll make them watch, won't I?
Thank you, Mr. Carenzano. No further questions.
The jester steps forward. Anything else from Mr. Carenzano? I understand he's got a very busy schedule and has made a lot of time for us here today out of that schedule.
He has things that he needs to be nailing down, I'm sure.
Quite. Any more questions?
No.
Very well.
Good luck with your work.
Great to be here.
Can I do something for the baby? I'm very rich, Don Carenzano.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Miss Turner, Miss Turner.
You can ruin me. You can take every penny. Just don't hurt the baby.
May I remind you how poorly Mr. Patton, Mr. fucking Turner, fucking Will Turner, treated you?
I remember. That's why I want to pay, and you take every pound of flesh from his body.
Yes.
Sweetheart, don't worry. Don't you worry. I'm sure it'll work out in the end. After all, looks like you're one of the judges here. I've been keeping up a little bit with proceedings, what's been going on. Terrible to hear how you all ended up here, but welcome to the cause. And if there's anything I can do for you, once you're back home, I'm sure I'll be in touch.
noted.
How could you do it, Mr. Patton? She's just a baby.
Oh, you never know, Miss Turner. She might survive. They might just sell her.
Actually, biologically, there's almost no way she'll survive being put into a barrel and thrown into a river.
Such a
There's
shame.
this howl and this sob from Virginia.
What's your name, sweetheart?
He says to you, Virginia.
Yeah.
My name's Virginia Turner.
Miss Turner. Well.
Where's Mrs. Turner? But I'm not married anymore.
Oh. Sorry to hear. Tragic.
I eye him and just go, it's like watching a shark smelling blood.
Mr. Turner, you seem quite stressed about this baby.
It's
You
just
want me to
so
make sure I
sad.
don't hurt him? I can't stand to see a woman in distress, you see.
You one
Said
of
the
the
guy
good
2
ones?
minutes ago. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna torture them, these women.
You one of the good ones, Mr. Marizano? I heard a lot about them Staten Island boys.
Sometimes you gotta do bad things to get ahead, sweetheart, but I'm one of the good ones. Take down. I tell you what, I'm not gonna hurt that baby, because you seem so upset by it. But in exchange for me making sure I don't hurt that poor little thing, when you get out of here, how about we set up a little meeting?
Sure. I love dinner in New York.
Maybe start a little trust fund for the wee fella.
Sure.
All right. Well,
see, Mr. Patton, this is how you take responsibility for things.
So to summarize, on top of your draft dodging and abysmal husband being and every other calamity, you've now indebted Miss Turner to a violent criminal.
Oh, I never hurt anyone myself.
Oh, I'm of course I'm sure.
No, you have people for that.
You have people for that, yes.
Approximately violent criminal.
Of course, and I should put this out here that we are hiring. Seeing as you're in the gang now.
And he points to his hand with a mark on it.
I hold his gaze, just steely knives into his eyes for a second.
The amount of chaos and just continual indebtednent that surrounds just the vicinity of Mr. Patton is quite astounding. Remarkable, even. Could be a new phenomena. Dave's just documented.
See how these things have a way of going around and around and around. But it's not like people have made this mistake before, that you have heard stories of it. You were the first. Yes, you could not possibly have known any of this was going to happen.
Oh, you should have seen him. He was so scared. Poor little thing. Scary war and all that.
Did you go to war, Mr. Garanzano?
I did. My life's one big war, you see.
Of course, I understand.
So he was scared of the war. It was not just his baseball career.
Who wouldn't be scared?
Well, I mean, we were all scared.
His career as well.
I mean, we were all scared, but of course, we all did attend the draft.
You know, I just gotta ask, Mr. Patton, what do your parents think of you, huh?
Are they still alive? I could go give them a visit when I'm back.
That might be wise, actually, to collect on debts.
To give me an idea. Miss Turner, you're working out to be quite useful already.
You try very hard to help, you know.
They have nothing to do with this.
I made 300 cupcakes one night for a bake sale for the children.
I bet you did, sweetheart. I bet they were delicious.
They were lemon.
Well, what is your mother's name, by the way, Han?
It's Anna.
Anna Patton?
You don't even think about calling her Mr.
May
Wilkes.
I call Anna Patton to the stand?
I so fucking help me God, Mr. Wilkes, I will use his fucking name. You told me his name. I will say that name right out fucking loud right now.
By all means, do.
You are in his court.
He knows you're here.
I'll let you in on a little secret, Mr. Patton. He's in this room with us right now. Ooh, where is he?
Miss Anna Patton?
Yes, very good. Miss Anna Patton. You have to give us 5 minutes for the court to adjourn to make sure we procure her. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, though, I'd imagine. Hope that hip's all right.
And Mr. Caranzano says, "Is it all right if I just stay here and watch for 5 minutes? This turned out to be real interesting."
Of course, Mr. Caranzano. very much appreciate your presence, sir. Please, take a seat. The court will be back in 5 minutes with Miss Patton.
The mimes open the doors. Once again, Hank, you are going to be dragged out back to the room where you killed Eric Carlisle, and the judges are taken to your waiting room. Mr. Caranzano appears to be following you as well.
Right, I think you guys suitably beaten him to a bloody pulp.
Well, we discovered just exactly how creative he is. It was
Wait.
I think he has one more. I feel he has just one more thing left to lose.
I mean, is this important that he has to lose literally everything he's ever had? Is this important?
You are seeing the wrong thing in this. This is not punishment. This is proof. This is making an art.
I think we've done that.
He still hasn't lost his mind.
Right, okay, so he loses his mind and then he wins. Is that what you're saying?
Because in terms of artistry, Mr. Virgil outstrips him in every way. But madness...
I don't know. I don't think he's quite caused this much just chaos in the vicinity. That is... I mean, yes, he does paintings, which is marvelous, but I'm seeing trends here, because Elsie's been writing this entire time. She's basically like the transcribist for the courtroom right now, and she's just flipping through her journal. I've never seen anything on quite this level.
As a sidebar, Mr. Caranzano has sat down next to Virginia and has placed one arm across her, a comforting arm, while she's crying.
And she's just like sniffing to herself. She has completely lost track of what the hell we're meant to be doing. She got wrapped up in the story that Wilkes was spinning and is just like, he's guilty, hang him. She thinks this is that sort of trial now. She's lost track of what is going on entirely.
If he is insane, his madness will be pure. Virgil's madness is tainted by self-desire and obsession and a willingness to give of his mind. Whereas
the willingness is very
Mr.
important.
Virgil has a bracelet that I think might be giving him an edge. An unfair edge.
And if we can show Mr. Patton has the same depths of lunacy without willing it, we can prove madness is artful.
However, Hank has one thing that he has not got. That none of this was deliberate. In the art world, Miss Clark, is it not so that when, a new artist is discovered, it is somebody unwitting, somebody who creates without intending to. It is natural. This is an argument we can use.
Perhaps Mr. Patton is the next Van Gogh of chaos.
Most cogent, and it is key to his internment, our survival. That
I saw one of those Van Goghs once. He made a real mess of the face.
Ooh, that must have been his self-portrait.
He wasn't that missing glare at the gangster with his arm around Turner when she says made a real mess of the face. Like, I fucking know you.
He smiles, lights a cigar.
So, you all lot just ended up here by mistake then, did you? Ha!
Chaos.
Right. No, it was all Hank's fault.
Yeah. Life finds a way, I suppose.
You fucking piece of shit.
He's just Jurassic Parker.
You vile abomination.
So, you end up the judges. You know, you got the final say on this. But if you're looking to win the festival, you got to make sure you impress that king, because he's watching.
That is part of the plan.
Well, they're very much enjoying the show. I stayed around.
Yes, that's good news.
I think so. You're doing great. Keep it up, you know.
I was always told I was a great host.
What is it you're going to ask of the king, you know?
It's know your base business.
Once this is done.
It's know your business.
Ah. Is it?
No.
Oh. Well, I mean, I know his type.
They're much better at asking questions than answering them.
I could put in a good word for you if you want, you know. Me and the big guy, we go way back.
Oh, I'm sure you do, but we got 3 others who got the same mark, so I think we're good.
Mr. Casano, whatever your name is, I keep changing what the consonant is at the start of your name.
Don't worry, you've all been doing that. That's fine.
Everybody does that. Actually, it's Jackson. I pretend to be an actor while stealing art as a mobster.
I just want to go home, you know? The real world's pretty fucked up, but this is a whole new thing, and I can't keep up with what we're doing here.
Yeah, I understand. Good thing is, once you're back, things will start to make a lot more sense.
And you know what? I'm real good at getting sign-ups to things. If that's what the king wants, I can pamphlet the whole neighborhood.
I feel that that's exactly what he wants, in a manner of speaking.
And I can throw real nice parties.
Yeah. For lots of parties. Like the one that you attended not so long ago.
Oh no, it'd be better than that.
Really?
Trust me. Almost anybody could do better than those kind of parties.
I mean, I wouldn't hire actors to make it good. It would just be good, you know. I'd invite them actresses from Hollywood to be themselves, and real baseball players who can win, and you know, famous people.
Of course you would. It's gonna work out just fine. Don't you worry.
I know the junior editor of the New York Times.
Wow, that's very impressive.
Well, Miss Turner, maybe you and I could...
The senior editor in the New York Times is a very close friend of mine.
Oh, good.
Oh?
Seems like you got a lot of close friends, doesn't it?
Which editor?
You can never have too many friends, my friend.
Yeah.
Of the Times.
Oh, that would be telling, wouldn't it?
Just curious if I've worked with them previously. That's all.
You're a writer yourself, are you?
Yes, actually.
Journalists are very useful to me.
I'm sure they are.
You struck me as someone who knows how to tell a good story.
Well, it seems that one's writing itself right in front of our faces, and she's kind of just adding a few more notes to her book.
Elsie really knows art.
Yes.
She's a critic.
Oh, she wouldn't be here if she didn't.
Miss Turner, maybe when this is over, you and I can compare address books. Perhaps we can get a really good party invitation going.
Oh, maybe we could throw one in Paris. That would be real fancy.
I'm sure my father has some properties we could use. You make friends all over the world when you have money, huh?
Unless you're Mr.
People sure seem to like you when you have money.
Yes, I always preferred the company of people who didn't.
So, you've been in these courts before?
Oh, now he wants to talk, does he?
Fine, fuck off then. I'm not interested. Fine.
He's not terribly talkative on the best of days, let alone today.
Oh, dear son. Looks like someone's messed you up pretty bad being here. Don't worry. We could be friends. Yeah, I've been here several times. Yeah. Couple of these ones. Oh, yeah.
All right, then. So, you say you know the audience, and, you know, the way to win this is to win the audience over and impress. So, What haven't we done that they like? You know, got any hints or tips?
I have to say, it has been very tame on the body violence front.
So you want someone dead, or at least horribly?
Ooh. No, I mean,
beaten up.
I look at it this way. You're trying to judge artists, right? Who's the truest artist? Well, come on, people, you've got a lot of canvases in that room hanging up there, and we haven't seen a display of who's the better artist in those terms yet.
I pull the knife out of my... Oh, do I still have the knife?
Oh no, we need a baseball
No, I don't think I
bat.
do.
You may have some knives. I don't know.
Well, I pull something. Oh no, I had like a razor hairpin. Pull it out of my hair and just start picking my nails with it pointedly.
Yeah, something like that.
So what? Give Hank a bat and let him go.
Let him let out some of this frustration, perhaps.
Right on the thing. Keep in mind, folks, that you give him a bat and you've just been talking shit about him for the past.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure he's gonna go straight for Professor Wilkes.
I think those
I
mimes could be
Wilkesy, I
useful.
think that would be truly artistic when you think about it.
Hmm?
I think actually that's acceptable.
I mean, if you're game, Wilkesy.
But I
Let's
thought
give
the
him a
plan
bat.
was that we were all gonna get out of here. I thought that's why we were doing all of this.
That does have a certain poetry to it.
Yeah. I'm sure you can make a beautiful canvas with Wilkesy's brains.
My teeth audibly are gritting.
I think that's entirely possible. I think we should give him a bat.
All right then, we'll give him a bat. Unless anyone's got any objections, why not? I mean, the crowd wants violence. We give him violence to win.
Maybe we give him a choice. See who he goes for. That's always more fun.
All right.
Goes back to the old days of the arena.
You saying we should arm Mr. Virgil and Mr. Patton and just let them fight it out?
Oh
No,
no.
not Mr. Virgil.
I think we give Hank his choice of targets. See who he goes for first, second. It says so much about a person.
True.
I think that's a good idea. All right, we ready to go back? Right, okay. And I'm going to walk back in. Harpoon in the hand.
I watch him and giggle.
The doors open up for you, and the Hank's back there, and Grippy filter and just standing where he was before.
Right. Looks like we're about ready to begin again.
And of course, there has been one more witness called to the stand, which is Mrs. Patton. Took us a little while to get her, but she did come along in the end. Please, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Patton. The doors swing wide open, and an old woman is brought in by two mimes and brought to the witness stand. She's confused and clearly has no idea where she is, and you're watching her fail a sanity check. Speaking of which, Hank, this is... Oh, I want to roll a d6, my bad. Oh, Hank, that's 6 points of sanity for you, buddy.
That's temporary insanity, right?
Time. I think...
Yeah.
Oops, I may have robbed by
You're good. Which is... There we go. Yeah, and as you see your mother being dragged in here to the witness stand. She doesn't say anything, but she looks terrified and confused and sort of helpless with two mimes either side of her. Any questions for Mrs. Anna?
I do, but before I start, would you characterize how you brought her here?
Me? Answer a question? Oh, I'm flattered. Very well.
I know, terribly unorthodox and all, but it does go to character and motive.
I'll allow for my 15 seconds of fame. Well, we dragged her here.
So you had to strike her in some manner?
Oh, well, I mean, something of an old bag, so it was only once on the head.
Yeah, understandable. And then you dragged her here as one might a sack of flour.
Yes, or a sack of shit.
Indeed. Thank you. Mrs. Patton, I'm sure you're very bewildered.
What's happening? Hank?
Don't be concerned at this time. I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions concerning your son.
Where am I? I think I fell.
I would think of it as a dream if I were you. That will be easier.
Oh, a dream. Oh, strange.
We're in Carcossa, Mother. It's okay.
Is he supposed to be talking?
They're just gonna ask you some questions, Mother. Tell them about the time I pissed my pants when I was 6.
Actually, I think I can ask a better question than that.
Tell them about all those times you called me jacking off. Just tell them everything.
Actually, I have even better than his masturbatory adventures as a youth. Regarding your son, when he was supposed to go to war with the rest of the men, do you recall this moment?
There was a letter. They said because of his career, he wasn't to go. They wanted him on the team. You see, we're upset.
That would be the baseball team, yes.
Yes. We were
and that was what he told you had happened.
Yes. There was a letter. It arrived, signed by a general or someone. Yes.
Of course. And would it surprise you? Would it surprise you to learn that? By the way, did your husband go to war?
No. Yes.
Interesting. Would it surprise you to learn that your son dodged the draft by falling in with mobsters who then exacted payment as criminals often will, and is now the direct cause of the death of a child?
It's a bit far-fetched even for a dream.
Of course.
Wake up any moment now, I'm sure.
Yes. I'm afraid not.
The new pills the doctor has me on.
Yeah, I imagine so. And would you say what are your pills for?
Oh, my heart.
Angina or?
Well, most everything nowadays, young man. But you all learn that soon enough. Most things start to go.
Of course. Sudden shock might perhaps finish you off.
I'm still going.
That's
have a way of.
So to clarify, your son did dodge the draft by falling in with hoodlums, and the woman who he was married to is now shouldering the burden for his debt. And
did you attend the wedding?
Hank, is this true?
Please direct the supplicant to answer the question honestly.
Mr. Patton, please answer this question honestly.
No.
I must
I don't want to do this anymore.
I must ask again that he be made to answer the question honestly.
Mr. Patton, this is your last chance. Please comply, else we'll have to make you. And I'm sure your mother wouldn't want to see that.
I continue to pick my nails with the hairpin.
true, Mom. It's true. It's all true.
Oh. Well, you should have told us if you were in trouble, Hank.
I just wanted to make you and Dad proud. He was never proud of me. He never told me he was proud of me. He just...
That's not true.
Mrs. Patton, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you proud of Hank?
Oh, every mother is proud of her son.
Of course.
He had a great career, you know.
Yes, unfortunately, it was curtailed mildly by him throwing games for the mob.
They'll be having children soon, I'm sure.
I see. To clarify, you are aware, of course, that they are divorced.
No, that's not true.
I'm afraid it is. Mr. Patton?
Son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. What? I'll do anything, please.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you for all the sniveling.
A nightmare and a dream.
Mom, I'm sorry, Mom. I'm just so sorry. I just didn't know what to do.
Everything's okay, Hank. Don't worry.
So to clarify, no grandchildren, and no one to continue your lineage, and do you have any brothers and sisters, Mr. Patton?
No, it's just me.
It really is, isn't it?
And the career you were so proud of. Unfortunately, it has been proved here today that your son is also a cheat.
Oh, sounds like he got caught up in the wrong crowd. There are all sorts of bad people there taking advantage of sweet Hank. He was always too nice.
Of course, so Mrs. Patton, you would say that despite everything you've heard today, you still love your son?
Of course I do. Of course I do. Every mother loves their son, even if they've made mistakes.
Would you say that Hank is nice? He's too nice.
Yes.
Would you say a nice man would stub a cigarette out in another man's eye socket?
Goodness, what are they printing in the papers these days?
Mr. Patton, could you please tell your mother, did you or did you not do this?
Asta, where are you, son of a bitch? I want to make a deal.
Answer the question, Mr. Patton.
Asta, show your fucking face.
What's happening here? I'd like to wake up now, please.
Asta.
Bad news on the waking up, I'm afraid.
Can I attempt to bolt for this where these guys are all sitting? Can Hank just make a mad fucking charge for them?
While this is happening, you know, like in Carcossa, you think, and then something appears. Throughout this entire time, I've been thinking of a bat appearing right into his dock. As lewd as that sounds.
and he's now quite sore.
Okay, Hank, first of all, roll me a hard fighting brawl.
Okie dokie. Sorry, I've got the alphabet there. Can I spend 5 points of luck?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's a hard success then. Sorry, I rolled again there.
Yeah, that's fine. You burst your way free because the minds aren't actually paying too much attention to you for a second, and you erupt with force. What do you do?
Can I get to Wilkes?
Yeah, you can get pretty close. I mean,
you know what?
So
how is he going to run
Mm.
past me to get to him?
Well, I mean, he can jump up towards any one of you.
Cool, because if he runs past me, I'm handing him the harpoon.
And you could throw it to him.
No, I'm not going to throw it because he'll go right through him. I'm going to hand it to him if he gets close enough. No, in my fucking
I played this bullshit game before.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things here will happen. So you guys see Hank moving. Reggie, you're gonna give me a dex check to pass this off.
Alrighty.
It'll be a hard one, seeing as he's moving fast. And
Yeah, my dex is
moving
going to be
very fast.
50, so...
25s.
No. He's too quick for me.
Yeah, he's
I wasn't
rushing
expecting it.
Rushing up to Wilkes. You're seeing him coming. What does Wilkes do at this point?
I'm going to crit success to step out of his way, so he trips over the chair and lands at my feet.
Okay. So, Wilkes, you're coming towards him, Hank. You're like, you're like bull in a china shop, guns heading down, just gunning for him. And Wilkes steps out of the way, and the jester says, "Oh dear, it seems we have a loose cannon amongst us. Mr. Wilkes, please stand behind me." And Hank, at this point, you're like turning around.
I'm imagining the center of is there like an empty space around the front of this courtroom?
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining a circle of people around Hank, and one of them has Wilkes's face, one of them has the mobster's face, one of them has his own face.
Hank, you can roll me a sanity check.
Oh, wow. Okay. Colossal failure.
Okay, and both Law and Reggie roll me a hard power roll, which is the POW, one of your main skills.
How do you roll a hard one? Sorry.
No. Just. I'll tell you how. Just roll it, and then it'll be half the.
Nope, I failed.
Value.
I failed.
I don't think you could have succeeded any harder, really.
So, Hank, you're going to lose 5 points of sanity as all around you appear to be, to you, a circle of people. And it's like Law was just describing there. You see people all around you. One looks like you. You're seeing these leering faces moving in closer and closer towards you. The jester says, "It's time for you to calm down, Mr. Patton." Roll me a hard power roll, Hank.
Okie dokie, am I still sounding very deep?
You are sounding, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well.
I got a 4. I succeeded.
Okay, you resist. What do you do, Hank?
Who has bets on him going for himself?
Who's literally in front of me right now? Who do I see?
The jester is between you and Wilkes.
I'm going straight through this fucking jester. I'm going to try and charge through him. If he gets in my way, like I'm fully blinkered and going straight for him.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'll give you a moment here to try and fix your mic, and I'll cut to the others. So Gareth isn't quite so deep. It seems to be a plague which is infecting.
This is what happens when you hit the bottom of the barrel and bounce.
Blue season.
Am I better? Am I still deep?
Still deep.
You're still so deep.
Fuck's sake.
It's
Right,
well sexy though, so don't worry.
I'll be right back.
Radio, Gareth.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
So, the rest of you. So we know what Law's up to. We know Wilkes is hiding there. Elsie, Reggie, Virginia. What are you guys doing at this point?
Virginia is 100% hiding behind the mobster. She's terrified that Hank is going to come and kill her.
Mm-hmm.
Furiously scribbling this all down. In detail.
Okay.
I can't hand the harpoon to him very easily, can I?
Not at this point. There's a jester between you. You have to like throw it over his head or something.
No, I won't. I'll just sit back and watch.
Yeah, you see the mimes closing in on him, and it looks like he's about to barrel into the jester, which
You're not sure how that's going to turn out, but you suspect it might not be ideal outcome for Hank.
I expect him to bounce. That's what I'm expecting.
Oh no, Hank's frozen in perpetual glee.
Sees Wilkes, he's like, yeah, gonna smack.
You know what? I think this is a great point to do our second poll to see
yes,
who gains some sanity. Do any of us gain sanity in this will?
Hey, you know, we're good.
I'm starting the poll. So it's 0 for Virginia, 1 for Hank, 2 for Reggie, 3 for Elsie, 4 for Law, and 5 for Sebastian, aka Professor Wilkes. And this is for a gain.
Hello.
Yep.
Better.
much better.
Cool. Sorry, guys. So sorry about this.
You're good. Gareth, roll me a hard fighting brawl.
Okie dokie. This is what I do. Come on, Hank. Success.
Ooh, nice. You barrel in towards him, and while you don't by any means barrel him over, you do make contact, and the two of you are. He sort of stops you, but he does like move a foot back. He has a surprising strength to him, which you really weren't expecting. Hank, I need you to roll me a dodge.
That's a fail.
Spend 17 luck.
Yeah, we'll go for this. I have very few left, but yeah, we'll go for that. I'll spend 17 luck. 13 left. The jester darts out with his hand with a yellow sign which is glowing out hot light and moves it in towards your face. You manage to dodge away. What do you do? I'm going to try, as I duck down, I'm going to try and grab Wilkes by his leg and attempt to get him on the floor where I can, probably a better choice of words, but I'm going to try and mount him.
Okay.
Shame I'm not as deep anymore.
This didn't make the courtroom exciting. I don't know why.
Shame I'm not as deep.
Courtroom mountain.
Wilkes, you can give us a dodge here to try and evade
dodge, stepping away as if it's not even an effort.
All right, so Wilkes is out of crits at this point.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
And I just want, like, as Wilkes dodges out of the way, I just want to see my eyes are both angry but looking up at him pleading at the same time.
Okay. Hank could have a dodge roll, my man.
Okie dokie, I'm made of dodges. That's a success. Just a regular though.
Yeah, you dive out of the way as a jester's fist comes right down to where your head was before, and it pummels its way through the wood and shatters it where your face was a moment ago. You're on the ground, feeling pretty helpless. Wilkes is now, out of the way. The two mimes are closing in on you, and the jester leers above you.
Time to play ball, Hank.
What do you do?
Is there any... So, Wilkes is way out the way. Is there anyone else I can lash out on? Because I'm just angry now. Is there anyone else close apart from these three?
Out of the investigators...
Are the people that I imagined real?
Oh, no. They're
just in his head.
Yeah. Are the rest of you... Oh, and also Nogobo today. 2 crits for Hank. Thank you, Nogobo. We appreciate it. Stop helping him out. The rest of you tell me, are you guys anywhere near Hank? Anyone else? Or have you
I'm
moved
still
away?
in the stands where we were, just watching.
Elsie is too, writing down. She's also gonna glimpse up at Mr. Maranzano to see how entertained he looks at this display.
Yeah, he's smiling. He's got a little smile playing across his lips. He's got one hand still, like a spider. His hand is curled around Virginia's shoulder,
Excellent.
watching.
I'm just this stands right there.
I'm
just gonna
imagining... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm now imagining the faces of everybody hanging up, and every single one has either his wife's face or his daughter's face.
I'm also imagining him like turning and watching.
Yeah, his mother's face.
Can I try and pick up a chair and then just fling it at Wilkes then? So I haven't managed to get close to him. I just want to like grab one of these like pieces of seating and throw it at him as best I can.
Sure, yeah. Like a little last ditch sort of. Yeah, give me a throw.
It's absolutely going to be a crit now. I've been given them. I've got to do a little bit of damage.
All right, we'll give it to him. We'll give it to him, seeing as that's the case. Wilkes, you could make I guess, an extreme, seeing as a crit is an extreme success. Dodge roll.
I guess I'll throw a dodge roll. It's not looking very hopeful. What even is my fucking dodge? I don't even think I've got that.
It's half your dex.
Half your dex.
Oh, okay,
unless you put points into it.
Yeah.
No! 22! Oh god, what number do I even need? Like a 5?
Like a 5, yeah. Hank, roll a D3 there.
Oh, I haven't done it yet. Oh, I failed horribly. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I thought that was your roll.
No, I failed pathetically. It's fine.
I got
you take
2.
1 point of damage.
Oh,
2 points of damage, rather.
Yeah, because you got my damage bonus as well.
Okay. 2 points of damage as the chair whacks you, and part of it splinters. You throw pretty damn hard, but you watch as the mimes grab him, and the jester thrusts his hand with the mark of the Yellow King onto Hank's face in the doing so after he's thrown the chair. And you watch as Hank's head is thrown backwards, and he twitches twice and then lays still. And the jester says,
"Well, that was unpleasant." Well, sometimes these things happen, ladies and gentlemen. As we all know, things can get a little bit out of hand.
And we do know he created so much chaos. You can't say that wasn't completely unentertaining.
Entirely in keeping with his character, I would say.
Quite.
Well, I would have to agree with you there. This has all been very, very entertaining.
Might I sum up the case for the supplicant?
By all means, a decision must now be made.
Would you like to hear closing statements?
Very much so, we would. Wouldn't we, audience? They're very excited.
Miss Belvon, perhaps you'd like to commence. Miss Patton as the true artist.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have seen quite enough evidence here tonight. Mr. Patton is a ruiner of lives, that he has destroyed not only a new family, he has destroyed the potential of a young girl. He has destroyed another woman's belief in her own fidelity, in her purity. He has destroyed his mother's love. He has caused suffering to countless people, betrayed his country, betrayed so many people. And the savagery that he uses entirely unwittingly is an art. It is something inbuilt in him. He is not trying. It just happens naturally. That is a true artist. It runs in his blood, the destruction of other people's lives.
Ruination as art form. Ms. Clark?
Yes, I would quite agree, based on the countless cases, and it's almost as if it just spider webs out from him like cracks on a piece of glass. It's remarkable, really, how far it travels down the line. I mean, betray country, families that aren't even his. That is quite a piece of work. And for him to have kept it all under wraps so that he could do it again and again, countless times. Well, he's at least a damned good actor. And acting is quite the art.
Deception as art form.
Yes.
Virginia, can I even see you? Or are you just up, like inside this guy's waistcoat pocket by now?
I think she's emerged a little more now that things have, like, calmed down.
Miss Turner, your opinion?
I just don't know what to say anymore. He's just ruined so many people's lives, and then he starts swinging, and his poor mother's right there. I used to think maybe he was a good guy. I mean, he tried to pull me through from the water, but I wonder if he just pulled me out so that I would be here.
Just played you like a fiddle. Quite the con artist.
You know, I woke up in a bed with him, and I definitely did not go to sleep in that bed with him.
Moral bankruptcy is art form. Mr. Oh, what is your fucking surname again?
Chapman.
Oh.
Chapman. Mr. Hobbs. Mr. Chapman. Your summation?
Well, Hank isn't the person I thought he was. I learned a lot about him during this court. But Hank, what he's done, the chaos, the ripple effect that he's caused, ruining so many people's lives. You can't sell that. Normal art with the Carlisle bloke over there, I could grab one of his paintings, take it out, flog it for about 300 quid. But true artists, his work is priceless.
Finally we agree on something. True art has no monetary value.
Yeah, what else he said. So, I mean, Carlisle, his art is kind of, I mean, it's good. Well, I could flog it pretty good. But a true artist like Hank weaves chaos into other people's lives without them even knowing it until it's too late. And then the true artist picture.
Chaos.
And his work will echo through generations.
You know the thing about it? Hank's really like this place. You know, you think it's one thing, but it's another, and you think you're doing the right thing, and then it turns out it's the wrong thing, and then you turn a corner, and there's something just horrid waiting for you.
Chaos is art form. And finally, his insanity, as the entire court has seen, is madness at the purest edge. Unfiltered and unfocused. It is inbuilt lunacy stemming from the wellspring of his own failure, hatred, and rage. He is chaos, destruction, ruination, deception, and lunacy all in one.
Don't forget violence.
Oh, sorry. And violence. Virgil, a craven pretender. To the heights.
Derivative.
Try hard, really.
The heights that he has already ascended. It is, without question, that we cast our verdict.
That was lovely. So, guess we have the answer to that final question I posed you. Come on. Let's go to my chambers. We've all got a favour to ask of me, I believe.
Knew it.
Shouldn't have mocked Hastur's list.
Hafter.
Good old Hafter.
Reveals himself. You'll watch as the form that he was taking of Caranzano is melted. His flesh is melted off as though he were made purely of heat and steam, and you watch as the flesh bubbles and melts away, and before you stands the King in Yellow in all of his glory.
Now that's the piece.
And that's where we have to end tonight's episode of Tentacle Tuesday, I'm afraid. As before you, this is the very second before you look upon madness itself and get a good look at what a King of Yellow really looks like, and maybe what may be the very last thing you ever look at. We'll have to see, but that is the penultimate episode. Next week is going to be our finale, and you guessed it, it's about to be sanity rolls out the fucking wazoo, my friend. So yeah, woo! Thank you for joining us tonight, and that's all I've got. So I'll hand over to you, Charlie, to wrap us out of here tonight and give Tom a good segue.
What a session. I love courtroom dramas, and this was 100% all my bullshit, especially with how dark and devious it got. It was a lot of fun, considering we basically just sat in a room talking for the whole episode. The drama was real. Let's go around and say what everyone's favorite parts were and where we can find you on the internet. Mistress of Mayhem and co-conspirator of many dark things, Amelia Tyler.
Deeply misunderstood, clearly. Innocent in all things. Hello. That was really, really cool. And I think my favorite part of it was not sorry, I have been overdoing the voicing this week. My favorite part of it was not an actual, like, a coherent part. It was the way that we all fell into the roles of what needed to happen without discussing it. And I love that. It happens so rarely in a team where you get that kind of that click, where everybody understands the form that this has to take and what your role is, and you just kind of can go into it, and it's like a trustful with improv. I fucking love that. Yeah, that was very cool.
Where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and on Twitch as Amelia Tyler. I've been a little bit quiet the last couple of weeks because work is crazy, because it's that pre-Christmas thing. But I'm going to be doing a Q&A on Friday, 7 p.m. GMT. So if you have any questions about voice acting in games or roleplay stuff that I've done or anything, really, come and join me over on Twitch and we will have a natter. It'll be my first ever stream on my own because Jay has very much been babysitting me so far. So I've gone for something like really simple. Watch me fuck it up.
That's me every time I open up Encounter Roleplay. Here we go. But never a fuck up, always a team player. The only one half going to bat for Hank as we tear him apart, Tomothy.
That was well done. Well done. That was a good segue. Thank you very much, Charlie. Yeah, it was really good. I mean, this was essentially just shit talk Hank episode. Basically beat him into his mental state into a bloody pulp. Poor Gareth. I mean, oh my god. But it was good. And I really liked the way that Sebastian kind of like twisted and weaved his way around to really get into the psyche of Hank. And there's always been throughout this entire series, there's always been a animosity between Hank and Sebastian. And Sebastian's always you know, like presented himself as much better than Hank, you know, even like if he didn't really mean it, he's always done it. And I just like the fact that he just kind of played on that to really dig into Hank and prove that he is better, because look at what I'm doing. You know, you're nothing and I'm still here, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, Reggie kept quiet through most of that because I mean, a part of Reggie kind of felt for Hank. He kind of liked Hank, in all fairness. He was all right. But another part of him's like going, well, we got to win, so keep my mouth shut. And he, in the back of his head, he's thinking, if Hank gets to the heart and he becomes part of Carcossa, I'm hoping he remembers that Reggie wasn't the one who shit-talked him the whole thing. You know? He's thinking
that's the thing about this whole episode, though. So much stuff was said, and I don't think... well, I mean, some of us might have meant it, but the majority of it, I think, was coming from a place of doing what you needed to do.
Yeah, I was going to say...
very much like Hank.
I was going to say, Reggie didn't really mean what he said at the end. He was just BSing to get it through. So whether you want me to roll a fast talk or anything, but he was essentially, he didn't really mean any of that. He was just saying what needed to be said.
Laura absolutely meant it. It's just she doesn't hate him. She's used to hanging out with weirdos.
Yeah, good episode. Great, yeah.
And where can we find you, friend?
Oh, yeah. So, Redundant UK on Twitter and on Twitch. And also, you can find me on After the Fire Thursdays on Follow Black Cats. 8 p.m. GMT. Charlie? 3
p.m. Eastern.
3 p.m. Eastern, thank you. Yeah, there for some amazing Game of Thrones roleplay.
And our Pied Piper of Lunacy, our Gentleman of the Gavel, there we go, that's the word, not the Gavin. I don't know who Gavin is, but you're now a gentleman of him. Our maestro in the courtroom today, Adam, as Sebastian Wilkes.
Gavin's actually the cow I keep in the back and beat when I get angry. Yeah, no, that was super fun. I had a brilliant time. It was a lot of fun. My favorite part was using all that Hank had said throughout the last... because Hank gave us so many gems to work with, so many little snippets and insights into his character, that it was very satisfying to bring those back, because they were such wonderfully bombastic, characterized moments that were often thrown away. To give him a three-dimensional sort of character, it was really nice to sort of use those to peel back the skin. I'm Call of Cthulhu. I play horror games on Twitch. You can find me there. Call of Cthulhu on Twitter, if that floats your boat.
And Lindy, scribe of all of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And just, I think, always the secret mistress of any darkness that is going on. How was that for you today, friend?
That was good. I think Elsie really got into it. She was invested in this trial. I think the writer in her came out and she saw a story, a very interesting, fascinating story, and ways to twist it to make it better. And she just went in full force, and I don't really think she has any regrets about that, and she's just fascinated by all these things that Hank kept from him, and she's like, wow, man, real glad I'm not out there, because then all my dirt be in the courtroom. But yeah, so you can find me online with absolutely no dirt at Left Love Lindy on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, where I play in and GM a lot of tabletop RPGs. In about 4 hours, there's going to be Mists of Ravenloft on my channel, so if you like old 2nd edition Ravenloft stories updated to 5e, check that out. Also, I'll be here for the penultimate episode of Unhallowed Metropolis. Death's Curios on Thursday, and it's getting pretty intense. I think we have to do an auction heist, so that'll be fun.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, keep an eye out this week. It's penultimates all the way through. Yep.
Also, our once-a-month Aliens campaign is this Thursday evening, about an hour after Death's Curios ends, so check that out.
Awesome. Go and check that out. I feel like Elsie is like the truest follower of the King in Yellow in this group of people. Like Elsie is ready to sign up and take part in Carcossa for herself.
Can we stay a little bit longer?
Yeah, she never wants the answer to that crossword puzzle. But our poor battered victim in all of this, who had to struggle through 1, 2, 3, 4, like 6 other players coming for his character. Panda, how are you doing, friend?
Today's been fucking heavy. It's been so much fun. And it's weird how, looking back, I'm realizing that I'm using the real ways that I cope with stress and inability to, I'm laughing lots, I'm giggling too much, I'm moving about a lot. It was really fucking heavy today, but in a really fucking awesome way. I got a complete flipped version to how you normally role play, where you're the hero, you're saving. I always kind of wrote Hank as a bit of an American nightmare, where it's the American dream gone wrong, and there's it looks like he had everything up to begin with. He was the baseball hero, he's clean cut, and then I had this kind of seedy thing, which there's been little throwbacks for me that I've been putting out. If you remember when we were at the docks, and I think that I questioned Reggie about his cowardice, I said it should be like we're in the front lines and on the war.
I remember that. I couldn't use it because I was insane at the time.
Yeah, there's cool little bits where I've kind of been feeding it through just to have your character kind of ripped out raw in front of you, and have to treat things like literally you're being peeled like an onion, and your mother being called in, and knowing that it's not just your having to answer these. Your mother's probably dead because of a decision that a character has made to bring her in. It's fucking heartbreaking and awful, and hopefully I dealt with it in a fun way for you guys. It's been heavy, but it was so much fucking fun, and these guys dealt with it really responsibly as well. I think there could have been a way it could have gone a really corny and stupid, but they were all it was peeling back someone's psyche and attempting to destroy what was left of them. And hopefully that's kind of what happens.
Proud of you guys.
Yeah, it's fucking, it's a testament to these guys, and it's so amazing to play with role players like this. So I'm very happy. And yeah, we'll find out what happens to Hank. Who knows what the fuck's happened to Hank right now? So it's all floating up in the air. Tune in next week. I have soon have a actual play podcast. It's going to be called the Murder Ho Bros. There is a Twitter account, and it's I've seen a logo today. It looks amazing. So not long now. And thank you for tuning in, guys. Hello YouTube, we love you.
We do love you, and please leave us a comment, let us know what you think, leave us a like, and hit the subscribe button if you like, and bell. There's lots of things for you to push. It's a lot of fun. Thinking about pushing buttons, well, you were the herder of cats today in this courtroom.
Yeah, no, this is a lot of fun just to sit back and watch. When I wrote this one out initially, I was like, this might be a 20-minute scene in a courtroom. I don't know. And then we had last week, and then that turned out from there that we were going to do a lot more, so that was a lot of fun.
Wilkes can make a sentence last 20 minutes.
Yeah, he's definitely missing out on a glorious career as a lawyer. He's definitely missed out there. So yeah, I think we need to find a way to force more courtroom drama into Call of Cthulhu, because it's something that clearly needs to happen. Just putting people on trial for all of the shit Call of Cthulhu. There you go. That sounds like a really good RPG that someone needs to write. But as for me, if you want to follow me, please don't follow me anywhere I'm going. But yeah, you can follow me. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me in Canada RP is probably better because I hate Twitter. What else? Follow Cobalt Press on Twitter and Twitch. I'm going to be there tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to join us over there, we're going to be playing The World Tree Burns. And we finally have all of our cast and crew together for what's probably going to be the last time before Christmas comes in terms of all of us being there. But definitely tune in tonight. I haven't been there for the past couple of weeks, so I'm getting to catch up along with you guys as well. It's going to be fun. And then stay tuned here because we've got Zweihander coming up tomorrow, right? And a ton of great shows coming. It's coming close to the season end, so next week's the season finale. So there's going to be a lot of great shows where characters die and
declare their love for one another and stuff like that. So it's a good time to be watching Canna Roleplay right now. But that's all from me. Thanks for having us.
And if you want to get involved in Counter Roleplay, make sure you go and check out that Discord where we put all of our casting calls and all the fun stuff. We do have the monthly meat grinder coming up at the end of the month. Casting for that is closing on Friday, so get in, get involved. All you gotta do is make a level 3 D&D 5e character using published materials, and we will look after the rest. By which I mean we will probably kill your character in a glorious and hilarious way. We're raising money for suicide prevention this month, super important, so please get involved. Even if it's just lurking in chat, we appreciate you for being here. This said, we do know Tentacle Tuesdays will continue into January, and in December we're working on maybe getting a Christmas special, so keep an eye out for more details on that. But until then, come back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, as we continue for episode 3 of 4 of our Hellfire plot with Susanna Grace. Take care, everyone. Try not to roll too many nat ones, because we want to be there laughing when you do. Good night.